What did it drop? What did it drop? A few minutes passed. Long Fei's expression turned slightly better, but he did not wake up. The human emperor didn't understand. There's no reason. This is my best pill. It's impossible to save him. Yurong said, Is the medicinal power not enough? Can you give him another pill? Yurong was still very worried. The human emperor said, That won't do. His body is currently unable to withstand too many of these high-grade pills. If another one were to come, his physical body would explode. It was, after all, a high-ranked pellet of the universal realm. This was because Long Fei's body was special. Otherwise, the pill would have been able to cause his body to explode. Yurong said, Then what do we do? Will he be saved? How did this happen? Long Fei, don't die. As long as you don't die, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Yurong choked with sobs. At this moment, Long Fei took a deep breath and said, You're the one who said that. You can do anything you want. Huh. Yurong stared blankly. Looking at Long Fei, who was in his embrace, he smiled through his tears and said, You're finally awake. You're awake. Hugging Long Fei tightly in his embrace, a stomp on the chest, the human emperor heaved a sigh of relief as well. Chest, chest, chest. Long Fei exhaled rapidly and said a single word in a row. Yurong asked, What's wrong? What's wrong? Long Fei's face flushed red. Your chest is pressing down on me. As if to water bomb, this crushed Long Fei to the point that he couldn't even breathe. Yurong immediately let go, and his face flushed. Long Fei laid on her arm, quietly looking at the blushing Yurong, laughed softly, and said indifferently, You roam. Yurong replied softly, Long Fei continued, You roam. Yurong looked at Long Fei with a bland smile. She felt warm and sweet in her heart as she asked gently, What's wrong? Nothing. I just wanted to call you by name. You roam. Long Fei said it again. Then his eyes looked towards the weapon that was about to obstruct his line of sight. He said softly, This name is really good. Yurong was not an idiot. Her cheeks were even redder as she directly pinched the flesh on Long Fei's thigh and twisted it. Long Fei's eyeballs seemed like they were about to pop out. Pain. Pain, pain, pain. Long Fei quickly said. A woman's technique could be said to be inborn. With two of her fingers pinching the air, it was extremely refreshing. Yurong said, Let's see if you can still be such a hooligan. Humph. I'm not playing. I won't play now. I'll play again at night. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed and said, You said it before. You can do whatever I want you to. Right now, it was like Long Fei was rolling with the two water bombs. Cough, cough, cough. The human emperor lightly coughed. Long Fei looked up slightly and said, Hey, you still haven't left. There were 8 black lines on the human emperor's forehead. Yurong also recovered his expression and said, It was this lord who saved you. Long Fei replied, I know, but what just happened? How did you get injured? Aren't you the overlord powerhouse of the universal realm? That powerhouse of God's tribe shouldn't be your match, right? Long Fei did not remember. He didn't even have that memory in his head. He felt Yurong kiss him. And then a prompt sounded out within his body, and a scorching heat began to radiate from his right arm. He was unable to control it completely, and his consciousness also began to blur. He had no impression of what happened after that. The human emperor looked at Long Fei with slight astonishment and said, Don't you know what happened just now? His gaze fell on Yurong, who shook his head slightly, signaling him not to say anything. Long Fei said, I don't know what happened just now. What about the powerhouse of God's tribe? Where did you go? The human emperor looked at Long Fei seriously. From Long Fei's eyes, he could tell that Long Fei was not lying. Since he didn't know, there was no need for the human emperor to say anything else. Furthermore, if he knew about this, it would be even worse for him. You were unconscious just now. I killed that presbyter of God's tribe. Brat, you should have thanked me properly. If I hadn't come in time, your little life would have been ruined. With the body of the human emperor, it was quite joyous to laugh. You killed him? Long Fei felt that it was a pity in his heart. If only I had exploded it. However, at this moment, he discovered that there was something extra in the system. A string of items that had just exploded out from the system's interface appeared. There was even a string of experiences which could not be described as numbers. Long Fei's mind tensed up as he read them carefully. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing presbyter of God's tribe for obtaining 16 billion experience. 1. 6 billion true chi points and 100 arrogant God energy value points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sky Sword's energy. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Supreme Dragon Knife's energy. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Space Ring's energy. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Skill Path energy. All kinds of energies. Many of these were absorbed from Long Fei's body. Sky Sword energy. The energy of the Supreme Dragon Knife. When Long Fei saw all of this, his heart secretly tensed up and his heart let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, I was able to return. Otherwise, I would not have forgiven myself. These are energy. However, they could not transform into the original Sky Sword, as long as they could find new materials to refine. As long as they could infuse this energy, the Sky Sword would still be the Sky Sword. There would be no change. In addition, it could even raise his level. It all depended on the blacksmith's skill and the materials needed to forge the weapon. Long Fei was startled. He looked at the last prompt in the system. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Ancient Inheritance, Decaying Power. Holy **T. The Ancient Inheritance dropped. So awesome. Ha ha ha. Long Fei was a little excited. Today, he finally knew what the power of Ancient Inheritance was and thought of exploding forth with such power. Too sharp. At the same time, Long Fei's heart tensed up. Presbyter of God's tribe was really killed by the human emperor? He had caused harm to the presbyter of God's tribe before, so if he died, he could definitely reveal everything. However, if it was really killed by the human emperor, then he would definitely pull out the ancient inheritance from Powerhouse of God's tribe's body, and Long Fei would definitely not be able to blast it away, because any one of these ancient inheritances were incomparably powerful, and the human emperor would not let them go. Thinking like this, Long Fei's eyes became cold. He looked at the human emperor, then looked at Eorong, and asked, "Did I become delirious just now and become another person?" Long Fei realized, and at that moment, an exceptionally dazzling light flashed in the empty sky. Chapter 2682, Dimensional Destruction Cannon. Chapter 2682, Dimensional Destruction Cannon, Universal Realm, God's Tribe Palace. Elder Decay has fallen. 2 golden armor bodyguard us, and 1 sky envoy have all fallen. What happened? Someone from the periphery of the plane actually was able to kill someone from our God's tribe. This is definitely not an ordinary person. Everyone began to discuss. Within the palace, many elders started to talk among themselves, but most of them were calm and didn't seem nervous at all. They only laughed and chatted about it as if it was an interesting piece of news. A small elder had died. With 3 more descendants of God's tribe, there was nothing to worry about. The God's tribe is the ruler of the universal realm. Those great clans that controlled the ancient inheritances that had been born in the ancient plane and had ruled the universal realm for billions of years were unable to even contend against the great clans within the ancient world. As long as the Emperor Xian is here, as long as the God's tribes were here, they would still trample on the universal realm-s. At this moment, a white-haired, old man slowly flew down from the entrance of the palace. He had the appearance of a Taoist immortal. He said, "Indeed, no one in the lower realms can kill them, but if it's the human emperor, then things would be different." Everyone in the hall looked at the white-haired elder. "You said that fatty from the human emperor island? Where is the human emperor going?" "That useless fatty, eating like a pig. Just him? What do you want? You want to rebel?" They were all filled with disdain. It was obvious that they did not place the human emperor in their eyes at all. The pitiful human emperor still thought that he was highly valued by the God's tribe. The white-haired old man said slightly, "I am not too sure about that, but it should be similar to what we were investigating. The appearance of the Ming clan's chi should be because he is looking for the Ming clan's ancient inheritance, but he did not expect to start a fight. What do we do now?" "To Human Emperor Island. Ming clan's ancient inheritance. The nether energy that disappeared when Pluto perished. Did you find it?" "Yeah." "Did you find it?" Everyone was concerned about this issue. The old man replied, "No. Holy **T. What a waste of an expression." The white-haired old man looked at the old man on the seat of honor and said, "Great elder, I am willing to—" Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the old man waved his hand and said, "Don't waste your time." Before Emperor Xian went into closed-door training, he said that anyone who resists will die. It doesn't matter if he's the human emperor or the ghost emperor. If he dares to oppose our God's tribe, there will only be one outcome for him. Die. The old man looked up and said, "Activate plane destruction cannon." The old man's eyes narrowed. "Elder, should we wait?" "At least we should be able to figure it out." The elder said, "What do we need to know? Do you really think they can escape?" While they were talking, the voice spread out again, "Activate destruction cannon of the highest level." The entire audience was stunned. What? The highest level destruction cannon? One had to know that the plane destruction cannon of the shrine was one that merged the power of the ancient inheritance, a super artifact with the power of destruction. If he used the highest level, it would mean using the power of ancient inheritance. Then this plane, in an instant, he would be reduced to smithereens. The elder said indifferently, "Do we still need to know what's going on? Who cares who he is, be it the human emperor or the dog emperor? All of the inherited powers of the Ming clan will be destroyed in one shot. Once they die, all of their inherited powers will return to the ancient world. At that time, the ancient inheritance will still be ours. What's there to worry about?" Annihilation plane. A single plane was equal to a single world, billions of lives. But in their hearts, it was as if these life forms did not exist. As long as they wished, they could wipe out the lower planes of the lower realms. This was reality. This is a world where the powerhouse is respected. If you are weak, there are many times where you don't even know how you died. The hall went silent for a moment. Then everyone shouted, "Elder Ming!" Actually, he did not want Emperor Xian to know that Emperor Xian's time was precious. Not a single second could be wasted. Moreover, if he alarmed the Emperor Xian with such a small matter, it would make him unhappy. Just like those elders 100 years ago, they were all locked up. In this kind of place, no matter how strong you were, a destruction cannon would always attack. Nothing. At this time, a voice came from the distance. "Destruction cannon is ready." The elder sitting in the seat of honor said lightly, "Boom." Ha! The huge cannon was like a mountain as it fired towards the ground. Buzz! A ray of fire shot up into the sky, and an incomparably thick destructive power surged out. The world shook violently. Universal realm shook. Destruction cannon? I wonder which plane will suffer. The level of the destruction cannon this time is not low. Which plane are they going to kill? Ha ha ha. The lower planes are truly pitiful. The plane world is the same as a martial artist's world. If you're weak, then you'll be stepped on beneath your feet and will never be able to stand up again. Countless planes seemed to tremble. The strong light was blinding all over universal boundary. Countless powerhouse stared in the direction of the teleportation of the power of annihilation. Zhenwu continent. The moment he saw that beam of light, the human emperor's eyes narrowed. God's tribe destruction cannon. This God's tribe. 2F * King Ruthless. The human emperor said fiercely, and then grabbed both Long Fei's hand and Yi Yorong's hand, and said, "I will bring you guys out of this place." He didn't even think about it. Catching Long Fei, they were about to fly out of the Zhenwu continent. Based on his cultivation, bringing out 2 martial artists from the lower realms that didn't have flying into the virtual wasn't too hard. But Long Fei did not move. Yi Yorong was the same. Long Fei asked, "What is a destruction cannon?" The human emperor said, "It means the cannon that destroys the entire plane." Long Fei said, as his gaze tightened, "A plane, billions and tens of billions of lives can be destroyed just like that. Who gave them the right? This was cruelty. This was what you'd call an inhumane piece of *T. The human emperor laughed bitterly. They are strong, and they have the power. The God's tribe is high above them, and has controlled the universal realm for millions of years. No one can challenge them, and no one can be their match. Originally, The human emperor swallowed his words. Long Fei said, "So you can kill innocent people just because you're strong? Then I will definitely kill them all." The human emperor said, "Don't say any more. Let's hurry up and leave. If we don't leave now, it'll be too late." The destruction cannon was too fast. Moreover, the human emperor felt that the power of this destruction cannon was extraordinary. Long Fei looked at Yi Yorong and then said, "Go first. I still have brothers and friends. I cannot leave them behind." And then Long Fei pulled Yi Yorong and immediately flew towards Magic Mountain. The human emperor's expression sank. "Have you gone mad?" "No way. No matter what, I can't let him die. I missed it once. This time, I will definitely succeed in extradition." The plane destruction cannon had activated it, causing the entire world to tremble. The plane destruction cannon had activated it, causing the entire world to tremble. A fiery light shot out from the sky. The destructive power caused countless people to tremble in fear. When this power brushed past their plane, their hearts relaxed as if they had received an amnesty. He was secretly delighted, but he also laughed mockingly. I wonder who was so unlucky that the entire plane is going to die out. A plane, one world, billions or even tens of billions of lives would be instantly exterminated. However, there were not many people in the universal boundary who were angry at this kind of massacre. Instead, they were ridiculing it. Offended the God's tribe? You're courting death. This person is the sinner of all ages. If he were to be buried by himself in a plane of existence, he probably won't be able to do it anymore in his next life. Next life? Does he still have a next life? Ha ha ha. In the plane that the destruction cannon have attacked, the person on top of it would even turn their soul and primordial spirit into dust. In the next life, forget about humans. Even ghosts would not be able to do it. It's all his fault. the gods' tribe dared to offend him. In the universal realm, the gods' tribe is the sky, which means the gods. Offending the gods' tribe is the same as offending the heavens. They even dare to offend the heavens. I don't know who overestimated themselves. Countless planes began to discuss this. They wanted to be even more serious in their discussion of the guillotine turmoil 100 years ago. Not many people knew that the guillotine was in chaos, and their 10th heaven was almost broken through. The powerhouse who were traveling through many planes of space saw it as well. It could be said, this was a matter that shook the universal boundary. Boom, boom, boom. Tens of thousands of kilometers. It could be seen that in a second, wasn't something that could be broken soared into ordinary strength, and the power of annihilation was incomparably dense. Quickly ran in from Magic outside Mountain, the hall, and anxiously rushed back. Boss, and looking at the light above his head, which the golden flame in the sky is coming. His heart tightened and destroying the entire plane of existence. This golden flame is full of destructive properties. King Ruthless. As he spoke, he noticed a giant fatty. I will definitely let you experience the taste of destruction. Renjia felt an inexplicable sense of joy from the fatty. Quickly asked. He looked at him. How is the demonic sect below Magic Mountain? When Renjia was looking at the human emperor, that the human emperor was also looking at him. Some sort of seal Renjia nodded. It simply can't be opened. What's wrong? Thin Monkey interrupted. He belongs to the dog class. Can't break it. He smells everything with his nose. Scratched his head. But Tang Renjia, I've already used that all golden light is coming for us. I'm not moving at all. Was it the Transformers' power? What do you want to do? Ferocious. Unless they want to destroy 3 heads and 6 arms, the full force of King Kong's as soon as he finished fist, the hall not to mention became silent. Even a mountain everyone would be destroyed. Looked at Thin Monkey, this devil door did not even budge. Everyone turned to look at Long Fei. Only the human emperor's eyes lit up. He stared straight at Tang Renjia, smiling sinisterly. Tang Renjia, ha ha ha. Tang Renjia. He did not expect this to happen. He really did not expect to meet Tang Renjia here. He knew that the last time Long Fei was extradited was a calamity for him. As for the consequences, as a master, he didn't know either. To think that his disciple would be reborn, and not even his name would be changed. There was still no change to the inheritance power of Tang Renjia. Smell. Inheritance of sensing power. Extremely strong. Tang Renjia stared at the human emperor's smiling expression. He retreated a few steps and maintained a safe distance, then said, "Stupid fatty, I am not gay. Even if I am gay, look at your figure. I can't wear it either." The human emperor looked at him with a smile, but didn't say anything. Long Fei let out a light breath and said, "Thin Monkey is right. The golden flame above our heads is the destruction cannon that God's tribe has shot out. God's tribe wants to exterminate the entire Zhenwu continent." Everyone's eyes turned cold. Many people staggered, almost losing their footing. It wasn't easy to defeat the presbyter of God's tribe, which gave them a chance to catch their breath. And it also gave the Zhenwu continent a chance to catch their breath. But now they had to directly fire their cannons at the destruction plane. This caused their already worried hearts to sink to the bottom. One of them bellowed, "God's tribe, F*CK, your ancestors." Damn it, he's not human at all. God's tribe is just a bunch of bastards. You son of a B*TCH. On what basis? Why? Do you really think that just because he's a God's tribe, he can do whatever he wants? Is our life not our life? Some people went crazy, and some people cursed. Towards this unfair treatment, they could only curse a few times. They could kill all the destruction cannon released by the God's tribe in the entire plane. There was nothing they could do. He could only endure. Just like how a human giant wanted to burst his chrysanthemum, a small finger was able to press you to the ground, making you unable to move. All you could do was endure. No matter how painful, no matter how much he hated her, he could only endure. There was nothing to be done. This was the week. This was fate. Lucien looked at Long Fei and asked, Then what do we do now? Long Fei said, the only way now is to open the entrance. Eleusian said, that door can't be open at all. We tried all sorts of methods, but just can't, I guess. It's a dead door. He didn't make it clear. The meaning behind his words was, the other side of the devil's sect might have blocked the door. The human emperor lightly reminded him, Long Fei, you still have 6 minutes. The destruction cannon will arrive soon, and the landing point is right at Zhenwu continent. You can choose now. I can take 2 people with me. Follow me, stay here and wait for death. You can't avoid it. God's tribe would do anything to let a plane destroy them. No one can avoid it. Come with me, the human emperor said again. Long Fei did not hesitate to reply. God's tribe is heartless, but I can't not be righteous. There are hundreds of millions of people in Magic Mountain right now, so I can't abandon them. Take me to the Devil's Sect. Long Fei was not a saint. Long Fei was not a saint. He never thought of himself as a good person either. However, at this moment, he knew that there were some things that he had to do. He left. What about his brother? Watching them die? What about women? Watching them die? What about friends? What about the hopes that the hundreds of millions of people in Zhenwu continent had for him? Leaving just like that. Long Fei couldn't do it. Even if he died, he would not choose to leave with the human emperor. And making this choice would mean that he was not Long Fei. The human emperor's gaze tensed up. Tang Renjia said, Damn fatty, who are you? Let me tell you, if you have the guts, then you have to take away hundreds of millions of people. If you can't, then don't talk rubbish. We are human. We are not cold-blooded animals. Humph! With a wave of his sleeve, he quickly followed Long Fei out. The big-sized man, Thin Monkey, and Transformers also quickly followed him out. Only Yurong remained in the palace. Yurong walked in front of the human emperor and said, Can I ask you a favor? The human emperor said, Tell me. Yurong said, If the Devil Gate cannot be opened, can you take Long Fei away? No matter what, Yurong did not want Long Fei to die here. He knew that Long Fei did not belong to the Zhenwu continent. She also knew that Long Fei was someone who did great things and could not stop there. If all of the energy in Long Fei's body were to be controlled by himself, then he would cause the entire universal world to subvert their plans. It didn't matter if she died. It didn't matter even if the people from Zhenwu continent died. Only Long Fei could not die. The human emperor looked at Yurong and nodded, I promise you. Even if Yurong didn't say this, he would have done the same. His purpose for coming here was to extradite Long Fei and would not let him die again. At this time, the human emperor was also speaking to himself in his heart. Tang Renjia, perhaps your calamity is not over yet, so I can only apologize. At the final moment, it would be very difficult for the human emperor to bring the 2 of them away. Long Fei was number 1. Inside the Magic Mountain cave, Long Fei looked at the 2 gigantic doors that pierced through the void of darkness. Engraved on the huge door was the magic tribe divinity. Vicious, I'm afraid the demon gate is emitting a dense demonic aura. Chief Captain said, Right here, we've tried everything, but this door doesn't have any reaction. Long Fei walked forward and looked at the devil door with a sinister expression in his eyes, just in time to see the eyes of the devil door's giant god. His pupils shrank as he shouted in a deep voice, Are you really going to stop me? Demon God, if you stop me now, you'll want me to die. But do you know the consequences of my not dying? Long Fei's tone was very calm. Everyone looked at Long Fei strangely. Who was he talking to? The Devil's Gate did not respond, nor did it emit any sounds. Long Fei said, Demon God, you actually chose me, then you should be clear about my identity and temperament. If you were to set me up, as long as I don't die, you should know the outcome. His tone was calm. However, the calmness was laced with a myriad of killing intents. If you don't open the door, as long as I am alive, I will settle this debt with you. And then, Long Fei walked up, the idea moved, and placed one hand on the devil door. The blood-colored scales on his right arm suddenly exploded, and with a deep voice, he shouted, "Open!" Buzz. The devil sect didn't respond. It didn't move at all. At this time, Tang Renjie reminded him in a low voice, "Boss, there's still 3 minutes." 3 minutes. 180 seconds. If they were unable to open the gates of evil, they would die. The human emperor frowned and sent a sound transmission to Long Fei. "There's still time. I can save 2 of you. Follow me. Otherwise, you will really die here." Long Fei did not speak. Instead, he lowered his voice and said in a heavy tone, "I'm really not very happy right now." 3 minutes. Time was too short. Long Fei looked calm on the surface, but he was actually very anxious in his heart. Don't force this daddy to get angry. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Suddenly, the entire magic mountain started to shake. The entire Zhen Wu continent began to tremble. The human emperor's forehead shrank as he said, "We can't do it anymore. We have to increase our speed. The destructive energy cannon is about to strike." And then, the human emperor didn't care about all that and directly pulled Long Fei's hand and said, "Come with me." He was afraid that Long Fei would resist. So all of the human emperor's qi that was on his body exploded out explosively and immediately crushed Long Fei. No matter what, he could not let Long Fei die this time. He promised Long Zhanting he would definitely save his son. The last time he failed, he blamed himself in his heart. This time, he would never make the same mistake again. Yurong also anxiously said, "Long Fei, follow him." Many of the brothers also said, "Boss, follow him. It doesn't matter if we die, as long as you take revenge for us. We must destroy the chrysanthemums of the gods' tribe dogs." Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed out loud. All of them looked at Long Fei with burning gazes. They knew in their hearts that they wouldn't be able to fight against the current Long Fei without him. He would never forget it. "Boss, let's go. Boss, our life is worth it." "Yes." Seeing them one by one, Long Fei's heart tightened. The human emperor said solemnly, "It's too late. The destructive energy this time is much stronger than I expected. It seems like the gods' tribe will not give you any chances this time. Hurry up." The human emperor to worry that the destructive energy would be at its highest level, because if that happened, even he wouldn't have the chance to escape. The human emperor's fire's ancient inheritance was ranked more than 100. However, the fusion of the gods' tribe's destruction god canon would place him in the top 100 the moment the highest level of destructive power appeared. His retreat path would be completely sealed. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to escape. Long Fei did not move. The human emperor tugged and said, "Long Fei, follow me." At this moment, Long Fei suddenly turned. His eyes stared straight at the human emperor and shouted, "Get out of the way." His eyes were bloodshot. The aura emanating from his body underwent a drastic change. At this moment, even the human emperor's heart couldn't help but tremble. It was just like how Long Fei had become another Long Fei. The human emperor couldn't help but loosen his grip. Then, Long Fei's eyes were incomparably gloomy as he stared at the devil door, and spoke with extreme gloominess. "Don't King be shameless. If you make this daddy angry, this daddy will turn your devil world into a ghost realm." Finished. Long Fei's aura moved. At this moment, the 2 giant devil doors began to creak as they moved. It opened. It opened. The demonic door opened. Everyone was ecstatic. However, Long Fei's face was filled with unhappiness, and he shouted again, "Hurry up!" Boom! The two demonic gates instantly opened. Everyone was ecstatic. The entrance to the demon realm opened, but Long Fei did not walk toward it. The door to the demon realm opened, and light from another world poured in. With a single step, one would be able to enter another plane and be completely unaffected by the destructive energy. The door to the demon realm opened, and light from another world poured in. With a single step, one would be able to enter another plane and be completely unaffected by the destructive energy. It was also at this moment a system announcement rang out in Long Fei's mind. The prompt for the task to complete. However, Long Fei didn't even glance at it. At this point in time, any rewards for any quests were no longer important to him. Long Fei, where are you going? Boss, where are you going? Shouldn't we be entering the infernal realm? Everyone looked at Long Fei, who had suddenly turned around. Long Fei did not stop and said, "You guys go in first, I'll come later." There was no explanation. However, no one knew how unhappy he was. After turning Sky Envoy upside down, a pair of golden armor bodyguard came along, turning golden armor bodyguard into another presbyter of God's tribe, turning the entire presbyter of God's tribe into a plain destruction cannon. It's endless, isn't it? Long Fei was unhappy. There was a raging fire in his heart. If you make me unhappy, then I will make you even more unhappy. Moreover, ever since he had completed 1/7 of the super quest, Long Fei felt that there was a change in his body, and he became even more prone to rage. Facing any matter that he was displeased with, a malicious intent would arise in his heart, a killing intent. He couldn't control this feeling at all. For example, the Devil Gate just
at this
now,
moment,
if it was not Transformers opened, pushed Long him against Fei the wall would with one destroy hand
these two Devil
and
Gates.
said solemnly,
Not only
"You will be
that,
the last one
he
to
would
go
destroy
in.
the entire
No,
Devil
no.
realm
If he could
I
find a
am the
chance to do
powerhouse
so."
of the Zhenwu
At
realm.
that moment,
I want to go in first.
His heart was
I
filled
am
with
much
killing
stronger
intent.
than these trash.
A
I
killing
should go in
intent
first.
that was not
However,
under Long Fei's control.
not waiting for him
Lucien
to finish.
frowned.
He didn't know
Transformers
what Long
directly
Fei was
smashed him
planning to
onto
do,
the ground,
but
at this
releasing
time,
a burst
it was
of
to
pressure
let
that
everyone
directly
quickly enter the
exploded
demon
the
world
cultivation
and
level
say,
of his entire
"Everyone
body."
quickly enter."
Looking at the dying
Quick,
dog,
quick.
he said,
"Chief
"Your
Captain
cultivation has
also
been crippled.
quickly said,
You are
get
a
the people
true
outside to
trash.
come in quickly.
So
Quickly,
you're the last to go
quickly.
in. If we
No.
can save more,
He groaned
that
in
will
pain.
be one."
The
Transformers
time was less
bellowed.
than 3 minutes.
No one has the privilege.
The entire Magic
Whoever
Mountain
wants to
was
challenge
packed
this
with
privilege can
people
come and
numbering
try it
in
out
the hundreds
front
of
of me.
millions.
He crushed
To
them
enter
with
the
brute
demon
force.
world
In
the
3
entire
minutes,
scene was
there
instantly
was no
suppressed.
time. Everyone
However,
was shocked.
Lucien,
Long Fei
the big
walked out of
sized
the
man,
Magic Mountain,
Thin Monkey,
and flew up to the
Dai,
summit.
Kai Lina,
Yorong followed
Transformers,
behind him,
and the others
said,
did not go
Long
in,
Fei,
but
stop
chose
it,
to maintain
let's
the
go.
order. The
If
Devil
Long
Gate has
Fei
already
did
been
not
opened.
enter,
They
we
would
don't
not
need
enter.
to stay any longer.
Hurry up.
Long Fei
Faster.
did not say a word.
If not,
but
his
his
gaze
gaze
was
was
fixated
fixated
on
on
the
the
others,
enormous
they
flame
would have died a
that
long
was
time
getting
ago.
closer.
Don't
and
stop
closer.
me. I'll go
Destruction
in. I'll
energy.
go in.
He could feel the
powerhouse
powerful
of the
aura
Zhen
inside.
Wu realm
Very strong.
rushed forward
the power to
frantically,
grind planes
as if he had
into
lost
dust.
his soul.
Long
At
Fei
this
looked
moment
at
of
the
life
sky
and death,
and said
some
solemnly,
people
if
revealed
the
their
powerhouse can
original
rule the
appearances.
world, then the powerhouse can kill innocent people. Is this the powerhouse? The powerhouse can already say that the plane of destruction killed billions of lives. This is the powerhouse. Is this what the powerhouse did? Long Fei's pupils contracted as the muscles in the corner of his eyes lightly bulged out a few times. The rage in his heart raged. If powerhouse was like this, he didn't want to be a powerhouse. Yorong said, "Not all powerhouse are like this, and this is all done by them. Long Fei, there's no time left. Let's hurry up and go." Yorong was very anxious. As they got closer and closer, the Zhenwu continent could no longer take it. God's tribe. Can the God's tribe be like this? Even if you are the overlord and you are the emperor, but does the heavens mean that the God's tribe can ignore life itself? Long Fei enunciated each word. The anger in his heart grew even stronger.
Everything that had happened these past few days was branded in Long Fei's heart, and the lives of several billion people disappeared just like that. Yurong said, Long Fei, this is the way of the world. It can't be changed. You don't matter who it is. It can't be changed. Even if there isn't a God's tribe in the world, it will still be like this. No, Long Fei said softly, in my previous life, I could not change the world and could only make the world stronger. But this life is different. I will not allow the world to be insulted as they please. I want to change this world. I want to stomp God's tribe beneath my feet. Yurong said, I believe you, but it's too late. Long Fei, let's hurry up and leave. It was too late. There was only a minute or so left, and Magic Mountain was still densely packed with people. Too many people. It was impossible to enter the infernal realm in such a short period of time. Most people will die. Most people would disappear along with the Zhenwu continent, without waiting for Yurong to finish. Long Fei looked at the people who crazily rushed into the entrance of the demon realm, looked at the people who kneeled on the ground and begged the heavens, looked at the people who were crying bitterly, and looked at the people who had despair in their eyes. The corner of his mouth hooked up slightly. From now on, I will use my entire life to fight against the God's tribe. Finished. Long Fei smiled lightly. As soon as he finished, the aura on Long Fei's body surged. Yurong immediately sensed that something was amiss and shouted out, Long Fei! The human emperor and Tang Renjia also rushed forward, shouting, Long Fei! Boss! Boom! With a huge tremor in place, Long Fei rose from the ground. His entire body burned with a blood-red light, as if a ball of red flames had charged into the sky. Yurong's expression tightened. He flapped his underworld phoenix wings, wanting to fly up, but was pulled back by the emperor and said, Don't go. Yurong said, He will die. Obviously, Long Fei rushed towards the destructive energy cannon. He wanted to buy some time for the people of the Magic Mountain who were still alive. But the red light that erupted from his body was like a myriad of stars. The destructive energy was even more blinding than the sun's rays, and it was even more intense. If he rushed forwards, he would die. Long Fei did not hesitate. Moreover, he had a bold idea. The decaying power could rot and absorb. Could it absorb the destructive energy and then return it to the God's tribe? Thank you for your support. Chapter 2686, More Power. Chapter 2686, More Power in the Sky. Long Fei stood in mid-air, his eyes looking down at the destructive energy cannon. His eyes turned sinister, and the corner of his mouth raised a little. God's tribe is a big mouth. Annihilation plane. Let's see who destroys who then. The aura on Long Fei's body trembled slightly. Buzz. Legacy of the Ming clan. Open. Buzz. Decay inheritance. Open. With a wave of energy from hand to hand, Long Fei's entire body began to burn. The human emperor's eyes grew tight. The inheritance of the Ming clan, the inheritance of corruption, and the power of two ancient inheritances. This kid. Yurong shouted loudly, Long Fei, come down. Long Fei. Boss. Quick, quick. Long Fei did not move. The human emperor looked at Long Fei, who was in the sky, and thought to himself, as expected of Long Zhanning's son, he's a bastard. Kid, it's all up to you. Finished. The human emperor grabbed Yurong and said with a heavy voice, Let's go. Yurong said, Let me go. I want to go with Long Fei. Even if we die together with him. Tang Renjie also looked at the human emperor and said, Damn, fatty, if you want to leave, that's fine. The human emperor said, This is the power of the highest realm of the plane's destruction cannon. If you follow him, you will only be sending yourself to die. And the human emperor did not continue speaking. Instead, his voice changed as he asked, Do you want him to die for nothing? Do you know why he did it? For you. Who do you think he is doing this for? The genuine force, for the hundreds of millions of humans in the Magic Mountain? If you're all dead, then what he did would be meaningless. Let's go. The human emperor's voice sunk again, and he didn't care too much about it. The aura of the human emperor on his body exploded and instantly crushed them, lifting them up and sending them to the entrance of the demon realm. Let's go. The human emperor shouted, but he did not leave. He looked at Long Fei, who was in the air, and muttered, I have said it before, no matter what, I will extradite you this time. This is what I promised your father. Humph. The human emperor lightly breathed out before sitting down on his knees. The aura on his body began to surge and circulate as well. Streams of aura began to spread out from him. Quick, quick, quick. Quick, quick, quick. Quick, quick, quick. There were too many people at the entrance of the demon world. The entrance to the demon world was too small, and it was impossible for several 100 million people to enter within a few minutes. Many people at the back of the line looked at the golden flames, which had enveloped the entire Zhen Wu continent. They, too, felt despair. His eyes were dull and lifeless. There was no hope. The sky turned into golden flames. Gales of wind raged on the surface. The heat waves attacked one after another. The Zhen Wu continent turned into a gigantic barbecue furnace. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. No one can oppose the God's tribe. No one can stand against God. No one can stand against the heavens. God's tribe, fuck your ancestors. I'm going to die. Countless people began to shout out powerlessly. Rumble. 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 The sky split open, and the laws of the plane of Zhen Wu continent began to crack. The entire plane was in a mess, and at the same time, the continent's atmosphere started to burn. The destructive energy cannon was about to hit the plane. The golden flames had already enveloped Zhen Wu continent. It was as if they were completely wrapped up. As long as they hit it, the plane would instantly disappear, and everything on the surface would instantly evaporate, just as the destructive energy cannon was about to break through the atmosphere. Long Fei's body moved once again. The center of the human emperor's brows tightened. This was the power of the annihilation inheritance. Ancient inheritance's strength was ranked in the top 100. Incomparable savagery. Even if Long Fei has a few power of ancient inheritance now, but he hadn't even used his strength yet and had only cultivated it to the bare skin. How could he be considered an opponent? The human emperor was worried, but he did not stop them. This was Long Fei's path. Even if he tried to stop him, it would be to no avail. Long Fei roared out in rage, his entire body completely submerged into the golden flames. Clenching his fists, all the blood scales on his body exploded, making him look like a blood Qilin. So what if it's the heavens? So what if you're a god? I will trample them all to death. Long Fei was furious. The moment he rushed into the golden flames, his body seemed to be on the verge of destruction. Not afraid, not boring. He also used the energy in his body to burst out crazily, causing the underworld fire to burn. The flow of the decaying power. Long Fei didn't know how to defend against this kind of power, but he was constantly releasing the power in his body to form a wall. Then he would take it head on. The underworld fire blocked. The crazy absorption of decaying power. Long Fei used his own body to carry it. Blood gushed out from his body. The speed at which the destructive energy cannon was falling slowed down by quite a bit. But it was useless. Even if the speed of decline was any slower, the Zhen Wu continent would definitely be wiped out. Long Fei's ancient inheritance was simply not strong enough. Boom. Long Fei's body crazily exploded. Underworld fire, charge! Boom! The underworld fire could not defend itself and was constantly being destroyed. Chapter 2687. Emperor Xian made his move. Chapter 2687. Emperor Xian made his move. Long Fei was a madman. You're going to hit me? Are you heaven? Are you a god? You are the chief sovereign. Don't give me a chance. If there is a chance, I don't care what you are, I will still blast you. He was like this now. The gods' tribe wanted to destroy the Zhen Wu continent. Then it was as if the entire gods' tribe had been destroyed. A tooth for a tooth. Blood for blood. Give the destruction cannon back. Ha ha! Long Fei moved both of his fists like a cannon. He used all his strength in the air. Boom! The destructive energy that he had absorbed was all blasted out in an instant. Furthermore, the power was even stronger than before because the dragon's head was infused with power. Seeing that something that was like a giant sun had been released, the entire sky began to shine with a brilliant light. Countless planes began to tremble in fear. What's going on? Why? A destructive energy cannon shot out from the lower plane? How is that possible? What happened? Could it be that there is still someone who dares to go against the gods' tribe? Who is this destructive energy cannon? When countless powerhouse saw the destructive energy cannon flying across their plane, they relaxed and started discussing. The Zhen Wu continent cheered. It's him. Ha ha ha. Boss Long Fei is almighty and domineering for 10,000 years. Long live Long Fei. Long live Long Fei. Master Long Fei is really going to explode. Ha ha. God's tribe should be trembling now, right? Ha ha ha. The people of Zhen Wu continent were cheering. As long as the plane was not destroyed, they would have enough time. When Long Fei saw the smiles on their faces, he was truly very happy in his heart. However, the human emperor frowned and said, "Brat, you've stirred up a great disaster." Long Fei said fearlessly, "If I did that, then so be it. Why can't I kill him just because the gods' tribe can wipe out the lower planes?" The human emperor said, "You may put it that way, but the gods' tribe is the absolute ruler of the entire universal realm. For countless years, only he has been able to wipe out the other planes. Moreover, the energy cannon that you released would not even be able to hit God's tribe. It would only be used to blast the surface of universal realm. No matter what kind of power God's tribe has, it will be impossible to break through. Once your identity is confirmed, you will be hunted down by people from the universal boundary. You will become the public enemy of the 10,000 realms, and it will be difficult for you to move a single step. Even if you are reborn, even if you change your appearance, even if you have changed everything once your identity is confirmed, you can be found anywhere. Kid, the gods' tribe is not as simple as you think it is. Is it stronger than the annihilation inheritance? Again, I can't do it. Boom, boom, boom. A string of destructive energy shot down like a string of pearls from a cannon. However, no matter how many destruction cannons attacked, they were all engulfed and absorbed. And it was getting bigger and bigger. In the end, directly occupying half of the shrine. It covered up the sun in the sky. Such a scene, the descendant of God's tribes, elders, wise men, and sages all flew out one after another. Their eyebrows were all locked together, as they had never experienced such a phenomenon before. There had never been such power. No one had ever come here before, not even the Ming clan back then. Universal realm also started to tremble slightly. Is he trying to destroy the gods' tribe? Holy **T. What kind of power is this? My God! Is this the power of the lower realm? This is probably the power released by the ancient world, right? What should we do now? Destruction cannon is useless. Look at it. It's getting stronger and stronger. It's trying to devour the entire God's tribe. The tens of thousands of planes of the universal realm were shaking. It was also at this time, in the depths of the divine arts, Hall of Emperor Xian. Boom! A shadow rose into the air and turned into a palm that covered the sky. Emperor Xian. It's the Emperor Xian. It's Lord Emperor Xian. Lord Emperor Xian has come out. The figure of the Emperor Xian moved. His eyes turned sinister as he stared at the huge flame. From between his brows, an imprint of power surged out. Since you have chosen to be enemies with the God's tribe, then you better enjoy being hunted down for eternity. Boom! The huge palm flipped and slapped. An enormous flame exploded outwards, resounding once more in the entire Zhenwu continent. Chapter 2688, Myriad Realms Public Enemy. Chapter 2688, Myriad Realms Public Enemy. Rumble. The 10,000 worlds trembled as the void exploded. Thick bolts of lightning continued to strike from the void of darkness. Long Fei tensed up. At that moment, a different scene appeared in Long Fei's memories. Image of the guillotine. He was about to break through the 10th heaven, but was suppressed by the ladder in one move. Moreover, it was only an illusion of the Emperor Xian. How strong was this? And now, it was another image of the Emperor Xian. One palm was able to suppress the huge energy and instantly push back. The Emperor Xian was too fierce. Long Fei's pupils suddenly shrank. Just as the energy was released from between the brows of the Emperor Xian's illusion, his mind suddenly sank as a sharp pain arose. Next, the piercing pain spread throughout his entire body. His clothes were burnt to ashes. And then, numerous marks appeared on his body, like branding iron. The marks were all over his body and even on his face. Seeing that, the human emperor could not help but tremble. God's tribe's assassin seal. Too late. Too late. It's over. It's all over. Emperor Xian has made his move. Emperor Xian has made his move. The human emperor's face was pale and his body was trembling. He could not even stand steadily. He knew what the imprint on Long Fei's body meant, because Long Fei was locked on. Right now, as long as he was in the universal boundary, no matter how strong he was, as long as he used his power, he would be hunted down. Once he had the power, the mark would appear on his body. As long as the imprint on his body was discovered, the powers within the descendant of God's tribe, or those within the God's tribe, would do their best to chase after him. In this instant, the God's tribe began to fight with Long Fei. Long Fei had also become the public enemy of all other realms. Even if he didn't die, he would be hunted down for generations. Even if he died, he would still be hunted down. Long Fei's entire body felt a sharp pain, and he dropped from the sky, rolling around on the ground. It was like a slave imprint. However, the slave's mark was only one place, and his entire body was covered with it. His face, forehead, arms, chest, back, feet, palm, and the back of his hand. All marks. Pain. Incomparable pain. Although the Emperor Xian didn't see Long Fei and didn't appear in the Zhenwu continent, he was able to use the power that he released to lock onto Long Fei. His voice exploded in the air above Zhenwu continent. A mere ant dares to oppose me? I will let you know what heavenly might and what divine might are. As long as it's under the jurisdiction of the God's tribe, I will make you wish you were dead. Emperor Xian's voice continuously sounded in the air above the Zhenwu continent. The same thing was also happening in the 10,000 worlds. Chapter 2689, Space and Time Chaotic Current. Chapter 2689, Space and Time Chaotic Current. Everyone had their own choices. Everyone had their own difficulties. The demon god's abandonment of Long Fei at this critical moment was something that he had no other choice. Before, when Long Fei's identity was not revealed, he could still do whatever Long Fei wanted. But now, Long Fei had already been locked on by the Emperor Xian. His body was covered with marks. Once Long Fei entered the demon world, then the demon world would be quickly destroyed, just like the Zhenwu continent. As a demon god, he had to consider the people of the demon realm. Thus, he could only close his eyes and choose to give up. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The plane crumbled, and as soon as it touched the golden light of annihilation, it would be reduced to dust. The people of Magic Mountain were screaming in pain. Help! Save us! Save us! Kneeling on the floor, begging, there was nothing to be done. Nothing can change. Rumble! Tens of millions of people were turned to dust. Even their primordial spirits and souls were instantly destroyed. Even ghosts could not do it. In this second, rumble! The golden light enveloped the entire plane, and in the next moment, the entire plane disappeared. The Zhenwu continent was directly killed. There wasn't even a speck of dust in the entire plane. This destructive power was simply too powerful. Within the spatial rift, Tang Renjie quickly replied, "No, the Zhenwu continent is gone." Transformers asked, "What do we do now?" "We can't go in, and we can't go out now. We can only die in the intermediate level of this spatial rift." He looked at the human emperor. The human emperor surveyed his surroundings before speaking. "It's fine if the spatial rifts are stable. If the spatial turbulence isn't stable, I'm afraid none of you will be able to withstand it." Tang Renjie said, "Fatty, stop talking nonsense. Aren't you an expert from Universal Realm? You have a way, don't you? It doesn't matter if we die or not. The key is the boss. He must live." Transformers immediately said, "Yes, boss must survive." The thin monkey said to the big-sized man, "We can trade with our lives as long as boss is alive." The human emperor looked at the dying Long Fei. On Long Fei's forehead was a brand, God's tribe brand. All of the power in his body was sealed. If he wanted to obtain power, he would need to release the seal on his body. The sooner the better. The human emperor said, "A spatial rift is the boundary between a plane and a plane. As long as you break through it, you might be able to enter another plane. Of course, it is also possible that we will enter the land of death." "Everything is unknown," Tang Renjie replied. "That's easy to deal with. My nose is very powerful. As long as I open the spatial crack, I can immediately feel if it's safe inside." "Fatty, you can begin." "The best option would be to enter the demon realm and let that devil god see what the F*CK it is." Closing the gate at such a critical moment nearly caused them to die on the outside. A ball of fire pressed down from Tang Renjie's heart. The human emperor rolled his eyes. "Do you think that you can open it just because you said so? The laws of space and time are chaotic. There are no rules to be found. It's not that simple." Even the human emperor, even if he was a powerhouse who inherited an ancient power, it would be extremely difficult for him to find the entrance to the dimensional rift. Long Fei's face turned pale white. He coughed and said, "Don't worry about me." The human emperor said, "Don't speak. Keep your strength at bay. Kid, you can't die. I've placed all of the pressure on you from the back half of the mountain." It was the same for the human emperor. He would be hunted down by the god's tribe of 1,000,000 realm. There will be no peace unless Long Fei was able to stomp God's tribe beneath his feet that day. But is that possible? Long Wuqian had even become a lackey in the god's tribe. Long Zhanting, even more so, did not know where he was imprisoned. All the families in the ancient world were completely stomped by the god's tribe. Even if Long Fei became extremely strong, there was no chance at all. The human emperor said with a deep voice, "Follow me closely." And then, the human emperor's body slightly moved. Shwa! With a single step, the human emperor's fire bloomed in the void like a lotus flower. Tang Renjia and the rest quickly followed him. Walala! Walala! Streaks of light flashed, and the violent wind within the crevices continued to wreak havoc. Suddenly, the human emperor's eyes narrowed before lowering his body. "Everyone be careful, the spatial and temporal turbulence is coming. You must endure it and not be swept away by it." Before he could finish his words, a series of roars came from all directions. It was like a hurricane. It exploded in a frenzy. The human emperor protected Long Fei and stared at him. Other than Long Fei, the only thing he was worried about was Tang Renjia. If he had gone to the primordial god battle dimension, then nothing would have happened to Tang Renjia. Although he had been reborn, Tang Renjia did not recognize him anymore. Walala! Walala! The strong wind was like sharp blades, bringing with it the law energies that were in chaos. In that moment, the thin monkey was swept up. The big guy saw the situation and rushed forward. "Don't!" the human emperor shouted anxiously. However, not waiting for him to finish, the two of them were sucked into the turbulence, and their bodies were like leaves, unable to be controlled at all. Chaotic flows rolled out, and it looked like he was about to be sucked into time and space. Tang Renjia's eyes darkened. At this time he could not care so much. He pounced forward and grabbed the big-sized man. "Brother, we've caught him!" The big-sized man and thin monkey were swaying violently in the turbulence. Tang Renjia's body was also losing control nonstop and was on the verge of collapsing. "Hold on tight. Don't let go," Tang Renjia said in a heavy tone. "Just take it with you." However, Thin Monkey smiled. "Take good care of boss." He abruptly let go. Shwa! It instantly disappeared into space and time. It was also at this time the big guy turned his head and smiled. "Take good care of the boss." Boom! He loosened his grip as well, and his entire body was sucked into the flow of time and space. He was also swept away by the turbulence, disappearing in an instant. Tang Renjia anxiously shouted, "No!" He was about to catch up. Seeing that, the human emperor turned to Long Fei in a rush. He stepped out and pulled Tang Renjia and said solemnly, "They are no longer able to return." Any part of it could hide a killing intent. It was also possible that they had entered into another plane. No one could say for sure. Tang Renjia's body sank a little when the human emperor stopped him. Long Fei leaned on one side and watched everything that was happening in front of him, and it was as if his heart was being torn apart as all the strength in his body was being released. However, every time it attacked, a formless energy would return the seal to it. "I don't believe it." Anger raged in his heart. Anger. Long Fei also clenched his fists tightly and shouted, "Break for me. I'm going to melt you up. I'm going to melt you up." Shen Wu continent was exterminated. Tens of millions of lives were instantly taken. Brothers were killed. The woman had also left, disappearing without a trace. The anger in Long Fei's heart never disappeared. Now, watching the big-sized man and the thin monkey being swept into the turbulence, Long Fei's heart bellowed angrily, "Wang!" Red light burst out from his body. The blood-colored scales appeared once again, as streams of power that were imprinted with seals surged through his entire body. His blood veins and veins swelled up, as his entire person entered a berserk state. Ah! Long Fei roared crazily. Pucci! The scales on his right arm had broken through and were tinged with blood. Following that, All of the scales on his body burst apart, and Long Fei's entire body became like a person who had crawled up from a pool of blood. The blood-red scales flickered, the bloody energy surged and raged. Tang Renjia was excited. "You want to break the brand?" The human emperor said, "The breaking through the seal is useless. It is only sealing the power in his body. Once you use your power, these imprints will appear. Now he's like a damned man." And the human emperor's eyes turned into one with worry, and he said, "Long Fei, now is not the time to break through the seal. Stop quickly." Long Fei completely ignored him. Previously, the scales on his right arm had only appeared, but now his entire body scales were revealed. His power was surging crazily as well, with the dragon-shaped mark S on his right arm as the center. A ray of red light burst out of Long Fei's eyes as the blood-colored energy on his entire body exploded. Break. Boom. The mark on his forehead disappeared. Boom. The imprint on his face disappeared. Boom. 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 One imprint after another disappeared onto the surface of Long Fei's skin, and the seal became weaker and weaker. Half a minute later, all of the imprints on Long Fei's body had been broken. The power began to wreak havoc. Long Fei's eyes were also bloodshot. "Emperor Xian, F***CK your ancestors." A deep roar rang out. The entire spatial rift trembled and shook. Tang Renjia said excitedly, "Ha ha ha, boss is truly awesome, breaking all the imprints on the seal." The human emperor looked around at the chaotic space and shouted, "Be careful, brat!" Not waiting for him to finish, the turbulent space-time swirled up, forming a huge wave 30,000 meters long. Before Long Fei could react, it came crashing down heavily. Long Fei's pupils fiercely changed into a blood-red color. "You're courting death." The mysterious power that he had obtained from Iyorong's body exploded out in a flash, and the aura on Long Fei's body abruptly changed, changing into another person. Looking at the huge wave formed by the spatial rifts, he narrowed his eyes. With a flip of his right hand, a wave of power slashed down. Boom! The massive wave was instantly reduced to dust. The spatial rift was unable to withstand the force that was constantly exploding. The spatial rifts within 1,000,000 kilometers began to crack apart. This power, too fierce. However, suddenly a voice rang out. It was also Long Fei's own voice. "Where did you go? Where did you go when you were facing the power of the Emperor Xian? Who the F***CK are you putting on airs for now?" Boom! The power within Long Fei's body that came from him exploded loudly. The anger in him surged as he watched his own brother die, and the place he had stayed in get destroyed. Long Fei felt extremely displeased. When the power of Emperor Xian struck him, it would not come out. But now, what's the use? Teach me a lesson? Who do you think you are? Long Fei said sinisterly. The strength of his body resounded in Long Fei's own voice. "Who do I think I am? Your father is your ancestor. Since you're not doing anything, then give me all your power." Rumble! Long Fei broke through the seal, releasing all of his power. He knew, at this time, the power that he was unable to control would definitely appear. And his goal was this power. No matter what kind of power it was, as long as he was strong, as long as he could defeat the gods' tribe, he would not care about what kind of power it was. Decaying power, the power of the underworld fire. Go to hell. Ah! In that instant, Long Fei turned the two ancient inheritance energies he had been cultivating into shock waves and directly rushed at the powerful, mysterious power. Humph! He dares to be so presumptuous in front of me with this kind of power from the ancient inheritance. You're courting death. Disdain. It could even be said that he didn't care at all. With just one move, he could instantly kill Presbyter of God's tribe and send the human emperor flying with just one chi. This mysterious power was too strong, had only cultivated the power of the ancient inheritance to its first level. How could he be its opponent in this kind of situation? Rumble, powerful energy directly wrapped around the underworld fire and decaying power. And then he suddenly stomped. The underworld fire and decaying power began to shatter. He couldn't take it at all. Ha ha ha. This kind of power isn't even enough for me. He laughed maniacally, looking down on them. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. They were both the power of the ancient inheritance, but there was a difference in levels. The difference in level of the ancient inheritance was far too large. He did not care at all that the underworld fire and decaying power were being crushed, and this was within his expectations. What he wanted was not to crush it to obtain the mysterious power. What he wanted was, he had fused this mysterious power. It was all under his control. The two sides were crushed. Long Fei's mind stirred. He did not care about the two crushed powers, but rather the idea directly jumped into the center of the dragon-shaped mark and bellowed, "Dragon head! Come out for lousy!" Boom! A sinister blood-colored dragon head appeared in front of Long Fei. Long Fei said, "I do not care who you are, nor do I care what that strange power in my body is. In short, I want to melt him. Are you willing to help?" The dragon head was silent for a moment, then said, "This is all your power." Long Fei said, "Don't tell me these things. My power is not under my control. My strength can't be used at a critical moment. Will my power hurt the people around me?" The dragon head said, "That's because you are still unable to control them." "All right, so you're going to teach me how to control them now?" Long Fei asked. The dragon head said, "It's very simple, stronger than them." Long Fei said, "Stronger than them? How? I am not a match for these forces. How can we compete?" The dragon head slightly said, "This is your experiential learning." Buzz. While they were talking, Long Fei slowly slipped into the darkness, and a voice came out from the darkness. "Long Fei, this is your training. You must learn to control this power. Remember, this power is yours, and you are this power. They're all part of you. By the way, I'll remind you. Be careful." Chapter 2691, Bad. Chapter 2691, Bad. Be careful. Just as these two words were spoken, Long Fei's mind tightened. Be careful of what? Could it be that this power can kill me? This was impossible, because they were all in the same body. Whoever killed them would die. At this moment, the human emperor suddenly shouted, "Be careful!" Long Fei shook violently, his expression recovered, and his bloodshot eyes contracted involuntarily. The spatial tear formed by his earlier attack, the million km space tear, formed into a shock wave. A powerful shock wave immediately swept through. Power of law, flooding with the power of primordial chaos. All sorts of energy surged forth wildly. Long Fei said anxiously, "Aren't you awesome?" and then hacked them into pieces. "You think I can't do it? Do you think I would be afraid of such a trifling spatial turbulence?" Boom! Rumble! The void exploded, and the spatial rifts that had been swirling about transformed into a gigantic vortex. At the very bottom of the vortex was a gigantic black hole. The human emperor's eyes tightened. Space-time black hole. Let's go. Run, run. The human emperor grabbed Tang, Renjia. Long Fei's gaze tightened, and her bloody eyes trembled. And then his eyes turned sinister, and he shouted coldly, "What can the space-time black hole do? Even if the ancient world only has empty holes, I am not afraid. So why would I be afraid of you?" Shwa! Long Fei's body suddenly moved, and flew straight towards the space-time black hole. Long Fei's mind tensed up. Whether it's possible, if it's not, then forget it. Humph! I'm not afraid at all. With that said, the power in the blood pupil turned sinister. Both of its palms formed claws and clawed at the air. Streams of thick, ancient inheritance's power continuously burst out. He pressed down with both palms. It turned into a blood-red light. He charged straight at the space-time black hole. His aura exploded crazily, crushing everything within the surrounding millions of kilometers. The surrounding planes were trembling as if they were going to be sucked in. Destroy! A surge of power shot out. The red light exploded. The space-time black hole released a tear, and within the crack, a red light surged, as if it was bleeding. Walala! Walala! He had been like an enraged wild beast, but now he had suddenly turned into a dead dog. Ha ha ha! I've said it before. A mere space-time black hole dares to be so arrogant in front of me? It was extremely savage. However, only Long Fei knew what his current situation was. Underworld fire. Decaying power. Open for me. Boom. This time was different from last time. Long Fei used all his strength and pushed the two ancient inheritances he was controlling to its peak. In a split second, he pounced forward. He directly suppressed the weak and mysterious power. He pressed down hard on the ground. And then, a fierce fight broke out. You're awesome? Are you crazy? You want to die. I don't want to die. Long Fei said, It's easy if you don't want to die. From today onwards, you just have to listen to this daddies. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the Force said once again, Are you dreaming? Right. Then both of you will die. Long Fei was even faster. He didn't believe that he couldn't control him. He didn't know what Long Fei was doing, but he knew that once he enters the space-time black hole, he will never be able to come back. No one could walk out of space-time black hole because on the other side of the space-time black hole was another great world. It was a great world that was not controlled by the ancient world, and it could never return. Long Fei, boss. The two of them shouted anxiously. However, Long Fei completely ignored him. He needed strength. He needed this power. Thus, he would take the risk. The space-time black hole opened its huge mouth and swallowed everything in its path. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? All right. I promise you that you will control it for one day. Long Fei said, Let's die together. That power said, You are unable to control my strength. Long Fei said, Don't waste time. Just die together. That Force was truly afraid. No one knew just how many years he had been silent, nor did anyone know what he had experienced. It was not easy for him to see the light of day once again, and he did not want to remain silent like this. All right, half for each person. Long Fei smirked and said excitedly, Deal. His body froze. It was already floating in front of space-time black hole. Right at the instant Long Fei stopped, a huge suction force from the black hole engulfed him. Long Fei's body sank as he exclaimed in his heart, Damn it! As long as he was engulfed by the black hole, everything would be gone. In a moment of desperation, Long Fei flew out horizontally, directly rushing into the space crack. His heart sank. Let's take a gamble. Thank you for your support. The Black Shadow said, That won't do. Long Zhanning has already been captured. I can't let you be captured again. I promised. He did not continue. I promise you, I will definitely find him and protect him well. Mu Wanner took a step forward and said, Master, if you find Xiao Fei, can you bring him to another great world? I don't want him to suffer again. I don't want him to be in danger again. Master, is that possible? Muwana pleaded. Universal realm was too dangerous. Long Fei alone was not a match for him. The black shadow froze for a moment, then mumbled, "Another great world." It was hard to describe the pain. And then the shadow nodded. "All right, I promise you." However, he was saying in his heart, the other great senior sister. The entire universe was on the verge of collapse. What other major world was safe? A dragon abyss dungeon. All the veins in Long Zhanting's body bulged as he struggled to rush towards the sky above the abyss. The harder he pushed, the tighter the dragon-locked chain shrank. His body felt as though it was splitting apart. He acted as if he could not feel the pain, and said solemnly, "Emperor Xian, if you touch my child, I will definitely kill you." Xiao Fei, do not enter the universal realm. Definitely do not enter the universal realm. Do not come in. Long Zhanting sensed an aura from Long Fei's body. Sensing that the Emperor Xian had made his move, he was now extremely worried and was begging Long Fei not to enter the universal realm. It's too dangerous here. Chapter 2693. The First Path. Strength, Black and White. Chapter 2693. The First Path. Strength, Black and White. And then there was Long Fei. After entering the spatial rift, he did not give up on controlling the mysterious power that he had obtained. Moreover, he understood this power could very well be the most ancient inheritance power. It was the superpower beneath the dragon-shaped mark. This power was related to his superpower, the Seven Meridians painting. Yi Yorong's mission was completed. A seal was released, releasing this power. However, he couldn't grasp it yet. Other than Yi Yorong, there were 6 other superpowers. If he could release all of these powers, then he could release all of the power that the dragon-shaped mark had. What will it be like then? His current power alone was enough to easily crush Presbyter of God's tribe. If it were 7 strengths, then the scene. Long Fei's mind tightened. Emperor Xian, wash your ass and wait. Long Fei clenched both his fists. And then the idea moved and said, "Are you convinced?" The Force said, "Don't talk about that for now. Let's see if you can survive. If you can't find your way in, even if I admire you, you won't be able to survive." Long Fei said, "Let's not talk about that. If you submit to me, I can find a plane to enter." The power said, "Fine, I admire you." Long Fei said, "It's impossible for you to not accept this. I know what kind of power you are and why you're here. The dragon-shaped mark is your host body, and I am its host body." That Force said, "You are right, but you should also be clear on one point. You are currently too weak, and you cannot control it. You cannot even control it. If you fuse with my power, your body will explode. I think you'd better." Long Fei said, "That's my problem. I won't trouble you to worry about it." The power remained silent for a moment before saying, "Anyway, it is yours." "No, you are mine. I am yours. We are one. I can compromise now. But, boy, let me tell you this. My character is very violent. If anyone is smug in front of me and provokes my displeasure by acting arrogantly, I will make his entire family displeased. You know my methods very well. Irritation? It was more than just irritation. It was simply an explosion. He didn't care who you were or who you were. If he was unhappy, then he would just kill." Long Fei said, "You don't need to say." The Force said, "If power is not meant to kill, then it is meaningless." In addition, that Force said, "In the future, I'll have to trouble you to not get the repression of boundary stones out of there too easily." While speaking, he looked up at the repression of boundary stones floating above his head. As Long Fei gave the order, he would suppress it. He was fearless. Even if the Emperor Xian stood in front of him, he would not be afraid. but this repression of boundary stones. His nemesis. With a level 0 condition, it was impossible for Long Fei's body to fly in the air at all, and it directly fell to the ground. Ding! System notification. Congratulations to player Long Fei for entering the lower realm of Sanglan continent. Long Fei's mind tensed up. F***K. Lower plane. Why is it not universal realm? Rob. Will I die if I fall like this? Then, the aura on Long Fei's body moved, and red beams of light emerged from his entire body. Blood-colored scales appeared, and directly covered Long Fei's entire body. At this moment, when he used his power, his entire body was covered in Emperor Xian imprints. Piercing pain filled his entire body. Although it was the breaking through the seal, the moment Long Fei used his strength, all of the imprints on his body would appear. King Emperor Xian. Long Fei felt a piercing pain all over, looking at the brand on his body. He felt like he was a slave who had been sold countless times. His entire body was branded with the brand of a slave. This feeling was truly very unpleasant. However, this was not the only thing he was unhappy about. Just a few seconds after Long Fei released the blood scales on his body, a system notification immediately sounded. Ding! System notification. Insufficient spiritual value. Not enough spiritual energy. After the blood scales had hidden into his body, Long Fei's eyes darkened. Damn, this time I'm going to die. He would definitely not be able to pass the examination. How could the Sanglan College's #1 academy let a barbarian go? I heard she was born human and a wild leopard. Wouldn't it be shameful if she could enter the academy? This was a test of the academy. The people in the forest were all examinees. They were all shocked by the sudden appearance of the savage, but they were all laughing at him. At this height, the impact could not save him by relying on his javelins. In midair, Long Fei landed face to face. Seeing that a person was flying up into the sky, a trace of hope rose in his heart. Seeing that it was a woman, he was even more joyous. Could it be my charm value? That's not right. My charm value has been closed. There were still good people in this world. However, not waiting for him to finish, the woman's body sank and fell to the ground. Long Fei was startled. Damn, are you messing with me? I don't care. Long Fei's body retracted and instantly became a straight line. He did not care about anything else and directly hugged onto the woman's waist. Wild Woman said lightly, "Hold tight." He didn't seem to resist. Long Fei also said, "Don't worry, hug tight." However, his hands were in a position that he should not have put them in. Boom! Wild Woman grabbed the javelin in the tree trunk with one hand, wanting to jump up, but he couldn't. Crack! The javelin broke. He grabbed another one. Broken again. Several times in a row. All the javelins were broken. Wild Woman's arm was almost broken. However, he landed safely. Savage's breath was weak. "Can you let go now?" Long Fei felt that he had touched a place that he shouldn't have, and immediately relaxed, and said awkwardly, "Sorry." And then he took a step back and looked at the savage in front of him. He could not help but ask, "Leopard Girl." Chapter 2695. Thief? Chapter 2695. Thief? The Leopard Girl? He couldn't help but say it out loud. Without any reaction, he opened his mouth and spoke out. Wild Woman was stunned. She seriously looked at Long Fei for a moment, then retracted her gaze. With no other expression, she turned around to the side to clean up the broken javelins. Is she really the Leopard Girl? Damn! It can't be that Leopard Girl's lover, right? Playing cosplay here? That's not right. This is a foreign world, not Earth. There's no cosplay at all. No one knows about the leopard girl. Long Fei kept muttering to himself. Moreover, a few scenes flashed through his mind. The leopard girl shuttled through the forest, and then she was chased by a certain clan. How did this happen? Could she be someone from my seal memories? Long Fei's heart tensed up, and then he walked forward and said, "Sister, did we meet somewhere before?" Wild Woman did not reply. Looking at these broken javelins, she could not help but frown. She didn't know why. Seeing the figure descending from the sky, she went to save him with her life on the line. It had to be known that this was her first time saving someone. Seeing that she did not answer, Long Fei could not help but ask, "I feel that we have met somewhere before." Wild Woman coldly replied, "Can you be any more old-fashioned?" Finished. He tied the broken javelins on his back, looked at the dark forest, and muttered, "I'm going to fail the examination again this year." Sigh. When will I be able to enter the Tsanglan College? When will I be able to cultivate to the peak and then leave this plane and enter the universal realm? His eyes were filled with loneliness. If she failed for 3 consecutive years, and if she failed again this year, then she would forever have the qualification to take the examination. Long Fei looked at the desolation in her eyes and felt an indescribable pain in his heart. Long Fei asked, "Are you taking the assessment?" "I'll help you." Wild Woman looked at him, but did not say anything. She just walked into the forest. As long as the exam was not over and there was still a chance, she would not give up. "Hello. I can really help you." Long Fei chased after him. The leopard girl. Wild huntress. He could even transform. Most importantly, she had once appeared in his memories. His intuition told him that Long Fei must have something to do with him. The Wild Woman ignored Long Fei and continued walking. Now, the javelin was gone. Her reliance was gone. Suddenly, the Wild Woman stopped and did a silent cleaning before slowly squatting down. Seeing that, Long Fei maintained his silence and slowly squatted, lowering his voice. "I can help you." Wild Woman frowned, signaling for him to be quiet. At this moment, a flame wolf jumped up and down on the tree trunk. Not long after, it landed not far away from a piece of beast meat dripping with fresh blood. Long Fei looked at the flame wolf, his heart shocked. A trap! Although it was not a beast trap, Long Fei felt that this woman was no different from a leopard girl. Her beast skin clothes, her breasts, it was exactly the same. Suddenly, a woo! With a blood-curdling screech, the flame wolf fell into the trap. Wild Woman also instantly jumped out. His speed was extremely fast. He quickly arrived at the edge of the trap. Long Fei secretly thought, such vigorous movements. A woo! A woo! The painful howls of the wolves could be heard one after another. Watching the fire wolf Wild Woman in the trap, her brows finally relaxed a little. She knew that as long as she could bring this fire wolf back, she would pass the test. Pa! What a beautiful trap! I thought it wouldn't jump. I never thought that all the demon beasts would be brainless and actually jump down. On the other side, a small team of 4 walked out, led by a man wearing luxurious clothing. The man had a face full of smiles, and the 4 people behind him were like his servants. Stealing monsters? Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Wild Woman also frowned. "This is a trap I made." The man smiled and said, "I know," Wild Woman said, "so this flame wolf is my prey." The man said, "You were the one who set the trap, but that doesn't mean that the prey is yours. All right, since I'm in a good mood, you should get lost." The servants behind him immediately clamored. "Did you hear that? Get lost. Hurry up and get lost. Staying here to seek death. Wild bastard." Suddenly, when the 3 words bastard came out of his mouth, Long Fei's eyes trembled and flashed with a cold light, as he stared at that person. You're courting death? Not waiting for him to rush up, Wild Woman immediately pulled Long Fei back. The servant sneered. A trash like you? Little bastard. If you have the guts, then take a step forward. Let's see who is courting death. Ha ha ha. Very arrogant. Long Fei's eyes were filled with killing intent. Wild Woman held on tightly and said, "Let's go." The grip was too tight, and Long Fei was unable to struggle free. Long Fei's body slightly loosened and said, "It's fine to scold me, but I can't scold you." Wild Woman's gaze tensed up. The man sneered, "A trash like you, who hasn't even reached level 1, is not even qualified to be scolded by me, you bastard." The muscles in the corner of Long Fei's eyes twitched. Then, his body stiffened slightly, and he didn't struggle. Wild Woman thought that Long Fei had given up his struggle and let go of her worries. At this moment, bam, Long Fei suddenly erupted with power and instantly rushed out. Wild Woman was caught off guard, unable to make it in time to stop him. The man laughed coldly, looking at Long Fei, who was rushing towards him with a face full of contempt. "You're courting death." "Ha ha ha. Young master, let me do it. How can this level 1 trash let you do it? It will dirty your hands." While they were talking, then the servant rushed forward. Level. It was always the most crucial thing. When Long Fei entered the Tsanglan continent, his level was already level 0. His cultivation, spirit energy, and health point were all restricted by the laws of the real plane. However, there was no restriction at all. Experience points. The Tsanglan continent was merely at a slightly higher level than the Zhanwu continent's plane of existence, so Long Fei's experience points wasn't affected that much. One had to know he actually brought 18 billion experience points with him to this place. Level 0. I'll let you know what level is. In that instant, Long Fei did not welcome the servant, but suddenly jumped into the trap. This action caused everyone to be stunned. The man was laughing so hard that he leaned back and forth. "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I thought I was going to do something awesome, but it turns out I'm just a retard. Ha ha ha." He fell into a trap and committed suicide. Ha ha ha. I'm going to die from laughter. Everyone was laughing. The space between Wild Woman's eyebrows tightened as he didn't understand what Long Fei was trying to do. Bam. Awoo! Long Fei jumped into the trap and killed the fire wolf that only had a sliver of blood left. It was also at this time the system sounded out. Ding! Chapter 2696, Strong Kiss. Chapter 2696, Strong Kiss 180 times experience. If the San continent's plane of existence was only slightly higher than the Zhenwu continent's, then this much experience would be enough for Long Fei to reach the top of this plane. Level? I will let you all know what level is. 18 billion experience. As long as all of it was released, Long Fei could go to the skies. He was just short of killing a demon beast now. The system beep rang. The corner of Long Fei's mouth raised slightly, and he said indifferently, "Come, let this old man ascend to the sky." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing, Fire Wolf for obtaining 180 experience, 10 spiritual value. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level 1. It's starting. It's going to blow up. Long Fei was nervous and excited. He couldn't help but look at the 180 billion experience points. However, after the two system beep sounds, it calmed down and did not hear another sound. Long Fei, who was initially passionate and excited, felt as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over his head. He was stupefied and immediately cursed in his heart. System I'll F *** KU. 18 billion experience points. And you want me to level up? Do you want to play me to death? He still wanted to act cool. He still wanted to soar to the top. But just by being promoted by one level, what was this? He was supposed to be able to act cool, but now he couldn't even act cool. How bitter was this? Long Fei opened the system to take a look. His mind trembled as he saw that the 18 billion experience was basically untouched. He thought to himself, it's not released. That's not right. To be exact, I haven't released all of them yet. I got it. Killing one monster at a time can only increase one level. It can only release one level. It can't be as easy as killing one monster at a time in the game. After Long Fei understood this point, his heart slightly relaxed. Although he could not go all the way to the highest point, it was still a good feeling to reach the first level of a saber. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Little bastard, don't kill yourself if you can't beat him. You want a hero to save a beauty. With someone like you? I almost died from your laughter. Ha ha ha. The four of them were still laughing. Wild Woman quickly ran to the side of the trap and saw Long Fei standing inside the trap. He relaxed slightly and said, "Let's go." "Leave." "Humph. I told you to scram just now, but you didn't." "I'm not happy right now, so you guys can't leave." The man's eyes became serious. His fingers moved, and he said, "Capture her. My young Master Kwong has played with countless women, but we have never experienced the feeling of savages. We're going to have meat today." "Got it." A lewd smile appeared on the man's face. Wild Woman asked softly, "Does it hurt?" In that moment, Long Fei's heart suddenly tensed up. His entire being seemed to be melting. The kind of feeling he had was indescribable. It was also at this time. A strange scene appeared. A yellow exclamation mark slowly floated out from the Wild Woman's head. "Mission?" Long Fei tensed up. She immediately thought of Yi Yurong. He took a step forward and said lightly, "No, it doesn't." Task not triggered. This caused Long Fei to be even more convinced that the woman in front of him was one of his super quest, the Seven Meridians painting. Since the mission is just a kiss, then now... Long Fei looked at the somewhat dazed Wild Woman, his heart having an incomparable thirst for power. He couldn't wait to complete the mission and obtain his full strength. Moreover, he was now like a worm in the brain. Dragons were naturally like this. At this moment, Long Fei suddenly grabbed onto Wild Woman's arm, and without giving her a chance to react, he forcefully kissed her. This was how Yi Yurong kissed her and completed the mission. The first mission is to accompany life and death. The strength acquired is black and white. Since there was a precedent, then Long Fei will do the same, suddenly kissing it. Long Fei's heart became tranquil, and he said to himself, "Come, mission notifications sound. Let me complete the second mission. Let me obtain the second powerful strength." However, the next second after he kissed her, the system beep did not make a sound. Chapter 2697, Exposure? Chapter 2697, Exposure? Long Fei suddenly jerked away, blood leaking from the corner of his mouth. If he did not pull away, his tongue would have been bitten off. Wild Woman glared at him. Killing intent filled his eyes. Long Fei said, "So ruthless?" The Wild Woman glared at him, and his gaze shifted downwards. Long Fei pinched both his legs together, and immediately said, "Next time, I won't dare." He whispered in his heart, why didn't he succeed? Yurong also completed the mission after just a kiss. Could it be that this is different, or is she a woman that isn't part of the Seven Apertures missions? Long Fei secretly thought, 7 beautiful women. Every woman is different. Yurong followed along with life and death, and in the end, when Long Fei was on the verge of death, he gave a light kiss. But this time, Long Fei directly gave her a strong kiss. "Do you want the woman to take the initiative?" Long Fei looked at her and said faintly, "About that, I'm sorry about that. I didn't do it on purpose. I kissed you once, so that's fine." The Wild Woman glared at Long Fei again and said, "I advise you to leave this place as soon as possible. The person you killed just now is Lin Kuang, the young master of the Zhanglan City's Lin family." As far as she was concerned, she did not dislike Long Fei at all. However, he didn't have a good impression of her either. Long Fei shrugged and said, "These are all not a problem. If I kiss you, won't you kiss me back?" While talking, Long Fei took another step forward. Wild Woman squinted his eyes. The killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. Long Fei immediately stopped and said, "It's just a joke." "Sigh, it seems I have to make her fall in love with me. This mission must be completed. It seems I entered this plane for a reason as well." Long Fei thought in his heart. So far, only Yurong had completed the super quest 7 Meridians painting, and the other 6 women, including the little girl from Earth. There were 5 more. If you count Leopard Girl as one, then there are only 4 left. How can I make a wild woman fall in love with me? Powerful, right? I have to release these 18 billion experience points as soon as possible. Any woman would have difficulty resisting the powerhouse's pursuit. Long Fei made a decision in his heart and said, "Aren't you taking the examination? I'll help you." Wild Woman cut off the head of the flame wolf from the trap and jumped out of the pit. He carried the head of the flame wolf on his back and jumped into the forest. Long Fei did not follow him. Zhanglan College. Examination. Ha ha. I'll bring up my level increase first. Then we'll go to the Zhanglan College and propose marriage. With this world's peak level, let's see if you can still resist it. When the time comes, wouldn't it be better to obediently let me capture you?" Long Fei's mouth hooked up, lightly smiled, and then jumped to the other side. Upgrade. What he needed was not a strong demon beast, nor was it a boss. He only needed to kill some monsters. This level of leveling was too easy. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Little Squirrel for obtaining 1 EXP and 1 spiritual value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Wild Chicken. Congratulations player Long Fei for killing Wild Chicken. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. The level up notification rang every few minutes. One move to increase by 1 grade. It felt so good. After 2 hours, he had risen to level 26 in succession. This speed was too valiant. This was because there were fewer monsters in the forest. Otherwise, Long Fei would have been faster. Humph! I've never felt so good before. Long Fei laughed excitedly. 2 hours and 20 minutes? Who, the F***CK, is there? Songlon College? Lin Clan? Go to hell. At this moment, whoosh, a model rose up from the distant hill and exploded in midair. It was also at this time. A deep voice called out, "The time for the assessment is over." The examinees in the forest also quickly rushed towards the exit. Long Fei grinned and said, "What level is my current realm in this world? If I am not at least level 20 powerhouse, I should not be too bad. Let's go take a look first." Long Fei didn't really want to leave. What he wanted to do now was to release 180 billion experience points as soon as possible and reach the great perfection stage. However, he was a little worried about the leopard girl. If she was injured or in an accident, it would directly affect his mission, and her figure would appear in his memories. In here, bite my woman, can I let her go? Long Fei gently leaped and landed 100 meters away. With his current level, he could easily control his chi. Do you remember the man's face? Even if he turned into powder, I would still be able to recognize him. This is too terrifying. I have never seen such a person before. All right, enlarge your eyes and look carefully. If you dare to touch a member of my Lin family, I will make him regret coming to this world. Young Master Quan Lord Lin is ranked 367 on Sky Sect of Ling Clan's genius ranking. The death of such a genius is a huge loss to Songlon College. Don't worry, the elders from Sky Sect of Ling Clan are here too. At the exit of the examination grounds, besides the elders of the Songlon College, there were also many people gathered. Many great clans of the Songlon city had come, other than that, and the people from the Sky Sect of Ling Clan. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Lin family elder for obtaining 15,000 experience and 400 spiritual value. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Another level up. It was too fast. This was much better than reaching the maximum level together. Although Underworld Fire S were just the skin of the super force of Ming Clan, in this level of existence, the strength of the Underworld Fire S were just too great. No matter who it was. That's the move. This is the technique. The young master also died like this. He's a ghost. A single instant kill caused a small commotion. They all looked at Long Fei and couldn't help but to take a few steps back. The leopard girl also looked at Long Fei. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "How is it? I am very handsome. Am I enchanted?" The leopard girl glared at Long Fei and said, "You just killed the Lin family's elder. The Lin family is a huge family in the Songlon city. If you provoke them, the consequences would be—" Long Fei interrupted. "The ones who need to worry are them, because they have angered me." Long Fei stared at Lin Tianhao and said, "Just this kind of trash? Too weak. Is there anyone stronger?" Ha ha. His tone was filled with provocation. Lin Tianhao's eyes turned sinister as he said solemnly, "Brat, you're dead for sure today. Kill him." In an instant, a large group of people rushed out from behind Lin Tianhao. It was also at this time an old man from the Songlon College walked out and said lightly, "Clan leader Lin, is there some kind of misunderstanding?" If this kind of super genius could enter the Tsanglan College, then the Tsanglan College would definitely become even stronger. Lin Tianhao bellowed. Didn't you see him kill my Lin family's elders? Kill them all. He ignored them. A dozen or so Lin clan experts surrounded Long Fei, and under Lin Tianhao's command, they all drew out their swords and formed a sword formation. The sword formation began to move. Killing intent raged. The Lin family's 6 corporeal forms. Isn't it a bit too much of a fuss? The 6 heavenly sword formation is a super sword formation that can even kill a stage 9 demon beast. This kid is dead for sure. Who asked him to be so arrogant, killing an elder of the Lin clan in front of clan head Lin? He truly knows his limits. I bet he won't be able to take 3 moves. 3 moves? 1 move, and you will die. A dozen elites quickly activated their sword intent, which also became denser. The leopard girl said in a low voice, "The Lin family's 6 paths of the sword formation is the principle of the 8 desolations and 6 paths of the sword formation. It was created by a great ancestor of the Lin family, and it is also because of this sword formation that the Lin family is able to create it." Bang, bang, bang. Without waiting for the leopard girl to finish, she could only hear a series of banging sounds from the surroundings. Then, over a dozen of the Lin family elites fell to the ground, their bodies twitching. Ding, ding, ding. The system exploded. After consecutively leveling up to level 10, the current Long Fei had directly soared to level 40. 1 level. It felt too good, bringing 18 billion experience points into this plane. How wonderful! Long Fei slowly walked back to the leopard girl's side and shrugged, just like this. Damn, it's not enough for me to tickle him. Hey, are there any stronger ones? Too weak. The entire audience was dumbfounded. The Lin family's proud 6 corporeal forms could not even last for a second before being instantly destroyed. Furthermore, those disciples were also instantly killed. The leopard girl was stunned. Lin Tianhao's eyes darkened. He did not know how to react. Looking at the Lin family elites on the ground, he clenched his fists tightly. "Kid, who exactly are you?" Long Fei pulled back his hatred. "I'm your father." Crack! The joints on Lin Tianhao's body exploded. Die! The aura on his body burned into flames. Along with a few elders beside Lin Tianhao, all of them rushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes twitched, and his lips curled into a smile. Scum! His left hand moved. His 5 fingers formed a claw, and the decaying power instantly surged, grabbing towards the sky. Buzz! An explosion sounded in the air. Not waiting for Lin Tianhao and the other powerhouse to fall, they were instantly sucked in by a strong suction force. Bang, bang, bang. The few of them were stacked together like an R-hood. Then Long Fei made a grasping motion with his 5 fingers. Inhale. Walala. Walala. The profound spirit chi in Lin Tianhao's body was quickly being drained. The few elders behind him did the same. His frantic struggles were completely useless. 10 seconds. Lin Tianhao and the few elders turned into corpses. Long Fei stepped on them, swept his gaze across them, and asked coldly, "Who else?" Chapter 2699. All of you are trash. Chapter 2699. All of you are trash, a great clan of the Tsanglan city. Experts are as common as the clouds. Overbearing? They were all scum. Long Fei finished them all by himself in less than 10 minutes. It was like a dream. Many people did not manage to react, as they were completely stupefied. Seeing Lin Tianhao, who had turned into a dried corpse, their faces all turned ugly. When Long Fei said this, who else immediately crushed everyone present? He didn't dare to make a sound. Too domineering. Long Fei turned around to look at the leopard girl, who was also in a daze, and asked, "How is it? How handsome?" The leopard girl looked at Long Fei. Long Fei laughed. "Are you enchanted by me?" The leopard girl rolled her eyes at him and didn't say anything. Her heart was filled with shock, but she wasn't captivated by Long Fei because there was someone living in her heart no matter what happened. The sea dried up and the rocks shattered. The sky was desolate and the earth was old. The person in her heart would not change even if she tried to use stellar transposition. Thus, her gaze towards Long Fei was very calm. The surface of the lake was as tranquil as a mirror. Not a single ripple could be seen on it. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. How could this be? There's no reason. Logically speaking, any girl would be captivated by someone as domineering as me. Why is it that her eyes are becoming calmer and calmer? He couldn't charm her even like this. One had to know that the eyes of the surrounding girls were all flashing with desire, wishing that they could leap into Long Fei's embrace. Who doesn't like this kind of powerhouse? But the panther girl was simply too calm. "Do you want to force me to use my trump card?" Long Fei muttered in his heart. If he still could not attract her attention, even like this, then he could only activate charm value. 100 charm value S was unstoppable. Cough, cough. An elder of Tsanglan College walked up with a smile on his face and said, "Big brother, you have passed the examination. Now, you are an official disciple of Tsanglan College." If such a terrifying genius were to join the Tsanglan College, the influence that the Tsanglan College would have would definitely be even greater. However, Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Tsanglan College? Disciple? Not interested." He refused without thinking. Long Fei was not the least bit interested. He was probably the only one who could reject Tsanglan College so straightforwardly. You know, Tsanglan College was the #1 school in Tsanglan Continent, the Warrior Dream Hall. However, he did not even think about it for a second and instantly rejected it. The surrounding people were also stunned. He did not understand. If he did not want to join the Tsanglan College, then why would he undergo the assessment? Long Fei turned to the leopard girl and said, "Let's go." However, the leopard girl did not move. She walked up to the back of the fire wolf head and said, "Elder, did you pass my test?" "Huh." Long Fei was startled. That elder looked at the leopard girl, then looked at Long Fei and said, "Your results have not reached this year's standards." The leopard girl's gaze slightly darkened, carrying a trace of loneliness. Long Fei felt his heart ache. He stared at the elder and said, "Old man, say it again." The elder smiled slightly and said, "Little brother, if you can enter Tsanglan College, I can make an exception and make her an official disciple of Tsanglan College." The leopard girl's eyes shone with a trace of light as she looked at Long Fei. She wanted to enter the Tsanglan College very much, because only those who entered the Tsanglan College would have the chance to be chosen to enter the Universal Realm. She wanted to enter the Universal Realm. She really wanted to. Long Fei looked at the leopard girl and asked, "Do you really want to enter the academy?" The leopard girl did not hesitate and directly said, "If you want, can you help me?" Her words caused Long Fei to be stunned for a moment and said, "It couldn't be that a boy is waiting for you in the academy, right?" The leopard girl shook her head. "No, only by entering the Tsanglan College would I have the chance to be chosen to enter the Universal Realm. I want to enter the Universal Realm. 100 years have passed. He should be entering the Universal Realm very soon." Him. Long Fei's heart sank and thought to himself, "Damn, so there was someone in your heart. System, you are asking me to poach. This isn't a good thing, is it? The difficulty level is very high. No wonder it's a super mission. Long Fei muttered in his heart, then looked at the leopard girl with serious eyes and said, "For you, I can do anything." And then, Elder of Long Fei Academy said, "All right, I agree." The elder's eyes flashed with excitement. "Good, good, good. From now on, you two are both disciples of Tsanglan College. You can immediately enter the Tsanglan College to study. Come with me." The elders were afraid that Long Fei would slip away, so they directly grabbed onto his hand and personally brought him to the Tsanglan College. Many people around him were looking at him. Among them, an old man had a special gaze, staring at Long Fei gloomily. Long Fei felt it, but not on purpose. Of course, this was because Long Fei didn't know that the old man was an elder of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan. When Lin Tianhao was killed, the elders of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan did not recklessly make their move. He started to feel that Long Fei was extraordinary and had to figure out Long Fei's identity no matter what. Moreover, he had to report this to the God's tribe as well. The Tsanglan College was located at the highest point of the entire Tsanglan city. It was the #1 school in Tsanglan continent. It was also a gathering place for geniuses. Long Fei and the leopard girl were brought into the Tsanglan College and into a hall. The great hall was already filled with dozens of elders. As soon as they saw Long Fei entering, some of them slightly frowned. Some of them brought with them some danger, while some revealed cold, scornful smiles. "Huang Qian, is this the person you brought? He doesn't look any different from an ordinary person. I can't see what kind of special gifts and blood vein this person has. So how could he be worthy enough for all of us to come? I think it's just SOSO. Kid, let's test your talent and blood vein first. Tsanglan College does not accept trash. Inherent skill, blood vein, in any plane was the standard method to test whether a person was a genius or not." The words in the hall were filled with disdain. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up, and similarly he said in disdain, "I don't have talent, and I don't have any blood vein, but compared to trash like you, it's more than enough. A senior elder of the Tsanglan College? Do I have to put it in my eyes? Disdain of your father? You have the right. You made me feel bad, but how could I make you feel good?" Ever since he had merged with the first power, Black and White, Long Fei's temperament had changed as he became even more arrogant. The dragon's own personality was the same. As soon as he finished, fearing that the Lin family's tragedy would occur again, Huang Qian's expression darkened. He immediately said, "Elders, don't be angry. This is his character. I can guarantee that his talent will shock every one of you." It was also at this time a middle-aged man holding a large blade rushed into the hall filled with killing intent. With a wave of his large blade, the Octotera blade chi was completely smashed towards Long Fei, and he bellowed, "Return my Lin family's lives." Chapter 2700, Blue Mist President. Chapter 2700, Blue Mist President. He suddenly rushed out without any warning. The eyes of all the elders in the hall tightened. Lin Zhao's cultivation was not low at all. Moreover, the saber technique he trained in was extremely exquisite. One saber could cut through life and death. It could be said that not many below the 7th rank would be able to withstand this saber strike. Plus, this was a sneak attack. He was even more unable to resist it. Huang Qian's eyes narrowed as he called out to Lin Xiao, "Lin Xiao, stop." The expression on the faces of the elders in the hall changed, but a lot of people sneered in ridicule. Arrogant? Now we're going to die. Too fast. No one could stop him. However, the corner of Long Fei's eyes twitched. Without waiting for Lin Zhao's blade to fall, he kicked out explosively. Bam! Lin Xiao flew out of the main hall and flew hundreds of meters away, before he crashed into a wall and collapsed. His abdomen was shattered as his eyeballs burst out, and his body convulsed a few times. Dead. Ding. Long Fei leveled up one more level. From start to finish, Long Fei did not even glance at them. He was quite domineering. Many clan elders in the arena suddenly stood up and looked at Long Fei in unison. There was amazement in his eyes. There was also killing intent. A disciple ran into the hall and said, "Senior Brother Lin, Shao has died." Immediately, the main hall was in an uproar. "Brat, your methods are too vicious. What are you trying to do to be so ruthless and take someone's life with one move? Someone like that definitely can't stay in the academy. Moreover, look at his body. It's all covered in strange marks. He's the one who cursed, so he's definitely not a good person. We can't let him stay." After discussing, Long Fei did not mind at all. Huang Qian tried his best to persuade Yi Chun, but his voice was drowned out by the words of Yi Wan, and he had no strength to defend himself. Leopard Girl also looked at Long Fei in astonishment. "Everyone be quiet. Everyone quiet down." One of the great clan elders' voices sank as he suppressed the voice within the great hall. After that, he looked at Long Fei and asked, "What do you have to say?" Long Fei shrugged. "No," the great elder said. "Nothing at all." Long Fei thought for a moment, then said, "If you must say something, there is one sentence you can say as well." The great elder asked, "What?" The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up slightly and lightly smiled. "I want to say, everyone here are all trash." Boom. His words were like a bolt of lightning. What was this? This is called looking down on the Tsanglan College. He was looking down on all the elders in the hall. "Aren't you being too arrogant?" At this point, he had no way to defend himself. He simply did not know how to defend himself because Long Fei's words had infuriated the masses. "You're courting death." This was the principal of the Tsanglan College. He was a perfect Tsanglan continent. He rarely appeared before, but now he actually lowered himself to become friends with a brat, and that brat completely ignored him. Just when Long Fei wanted to refuse, the slovenly old man, Idea, moved slightly and said, "Immortal Master Lu Yuan asked you to cultivate with me." "Immortal Master Lu Yuan?" Long Fei tensed up. Immediately, Long Fei looked at the slovenly old man and said, "You know," the sloppy-looking old man chuckled, "you've agreed? Since you've agreed, then come with me to cultivate." "Brat, this is not a good place to talk. Follow me. You don't have much time left. The elders of the Sky sect of Ling clan have already reported what happened here to the God's tribe. You were exposed too quickly." The idea communicated anxiously. Long Fei's eyes became tight. "Sky sect of Ling clan? F***CK. I forgot that the God's tribe has set up this surveillance organization on many different planes." At the same time, Long Fei thought about the eyes of the old man. The corners of his mouth hooked up as he said solemnly, "The 10,000 world chasing order has been activated, right? Come, kill as many as you want. I was just worried that I wouldn't be able to find the gods, tribe dog." Long Fei was not afraid. He had a stomach full of fire at Chunwu continent. The old man sent mentally, "You have to leave this place as soon as possible. Come with me." Finished. The slovenly old man did not wait for Long Fei to reject. He directly grabbed his hand and immediately flew out. Long Fei was startled. He looked at the leopard girl and was carried away by the slovenly old man before he could say anything. Sky sect of Ling clan. The pavilion master knelt on the ground, his eyes filled with shock. "Long Fei. He is Long Fei?" And then the pavilion master stood up and immediately said, "Immediately send someone to keep an eye on that boy." Initiate 10,000 worlds chasing order. A lot of powerhouse will be appearing soon. Against the gods' tribe, no matter who it is, they must die. Chapter 2701, The Furthest Distance. Chapter 2701, The Furthest Distance at the Peak of the Blue Mist. The slovenly old man stopped and looked up into the sky, as if he were waiting for something. Long Fei, who was standing behind him, also looked at the sky and could not help but ask, "What are you doing here?" The sky was blue and cloudless. There was nothing special about it. Huff! The slovenly old man let out a light breath, then sat down cross-legged and said, "My cultivation is already at the great circle of the Sanlan continent. I can initiate the baptism of heavenly tribulation and allow your flying into the virtual to step into the universal realm. Are you ready?" Huh. Long Fei stared blankly for a moment, then said, "You want me to enter universal realm in your place?" Not just a substitute. This was a form of protection, because this way, Long Fei would enter the universal realm as the old man and not be discovered. This result was the slovenly old man would die. The slovenly old man replied, "Yes, this is the only method that you can use to avoid the gods' tribe's 10,000 worlds hunting order. This is also the only method that you can think of. All right, prepare yourself. I will immediately activate the divine retribution." He did not say that he would die. His life was given to him by the immortal master Lu Yuan. Back then, he had already promised to never refuse anything. The human emperor disappeared. The immortal master Lu Yuan had to help Long Fei with all of her strength. Long Fei immediately said, "Wait first." The slovenly old man said, "You don't have much time left. The pavilion master of the sky sect of Ling clan must have already sent the news to the gods' tribe, and it won't be long before this plane attracts all the other powerhouse-s from different realms. At that time, you won't be able to escape." The 10,000 worlds kill order was too terrifying. It was like a locust swarm. The moment it found a target, it would pounce on it violently. After all, the rewards given by the Emperor Xian were simply too tempting, and no one could resist them. Furthermore, with the gods' tribe's absolute hegemony in the universal realm, even if there were no rewards, there would be a lot of powerhouse chasing after Long Fei in order to curry favor with him. Long Fei said, "It's fine if you want me to leave, but there are some things that I haven't finished." The slovenly old man asked, "What do you want? Didn't you just enter the Sanlan continent?" "The most important thing right now is how you will avoid the pursuit of the powerhouse of 10,000 realms. The matter regarding the leopard girl had not been resolved yet. Not yet. He couldn't just leave like this. Moreover, the leopard girl was currently very weak. If she really was one of the 7 Meridians mission, then she was his woman. Naturally, he had to protect his woman well. In addition, there was also one more thing, the sky sect of Ling clan, the monitoring point of the gods' tribe, to leak information. This made him very unhappy, and when he saw the gods' tribe dog, he could not control the anger in his heart. Long Fei took a few steps back and said, "There are some things that I must do. If I don't do it now, I might regret it for the rest of my life." Finished. Long Fei flew in the air towards the direction of the palace. The slovenly old man's eyes narrowed, and he immediately flew into the air to give chase. In any case, he had to ensure Long Fei's safety. And then again, no matter what, he had to ensure that Long Fei's flying into the virtual entered the universal realm safely. This was a mission that he had been waiting for his entire life. He knew very well in his heart that his lifespan was coming to an end. The leopard girl stood alone in the square. Looking at her surroundings, she felt a sense of unfamiliarity. Earlier, she had requested to enter Dubhe Pavilion, but he was met with a round of mockery. Only the super geniuses had the right to enter Dubhe Pavilion. Furthermore, her innate skills are all low class. At most, she can only become an ordinary disciple of the Tsanglan College. Her goal in entering the Tsanglan College was to enter Dubhe Pavilion and then find a way to enter the universal realm. Seeing the leopard girl alone in the plaza, Long Fei's heart ached. He lightly landed behind her and said with a slight smile, "I'm back." The leopard girl was stunned. She turned around to look at Long Fei, and at this moment, her heart was slightly moved. He didn't know why. It was as if she had been waiting for this image for a long time. At this moment, she wanted to jump into Long Fei's embrace, but she endured it in the end. After all, the man in front of her was not the person she was waiting for. 100 years, the vicissitudes of time. Long Fei remembered the seal, and after he entered the Zhenwu continent, his appearance changed. To the leopard girl, the person she would always remember was the Long Fei from when she was in God's martial continent. Now, she did not even know Long Fei's name, nor did she ask. She was not interested in any man in the world, because from the very beginning, her heart was always with Long Fei. This is perhaps the furthest distance in the world. A change in appearance, a memory seal. They faced each other, yet they did not know who the other was. The leopard girl's eyes regained her calm. Long Fei silently thought in his heart, "Still can't move her? How can I hit her?" Chasing girls was not Long Fei's strong point. Being seduced by a girl was the best. Who? Long Fei let out a light breath in his heart. Forget it. Open up all your charm value. He completely released the 100 hidden charm value S. Long Fei's appearance did not change, but his body was emitting an enchanting aura, one that was difficult to resist. Wow. So handsome. Chapter 27:02 Sky Sect of Ling Clan Exterminate. Chapter 27:02 Sky Sect of Ling Clan Exterminate. I want to go to Universal Realm. The leopard girl looked at Long Fei very resolutely. Seeing Long Fei's somewhat astonished expression, she knew that this was an impossible task and that no one could help her. The flying into the virtual could only rely on itself. No one could help her. The leopard girl lowered her head and smiled bitterly, very disappointed. To her, this was an extravagant hope, but she wasn't able to restrain herself from saying it out loud. However, just as she was at a loss, Long Fei said gently, "All right, I agree." The leopard girl raised her eyes and looked at Long Fei. In the distance, the slovenly old man was also stunned. The leopard girl said, "To enter the universal realm, one must have the flying into the virtual. Only a perfect stage powerhouse can do that. And to every perfect stage powerhouse, this is a lifelong gamble, and also the wish of a lifetime. No one is willing to use their own cultivation to help others, because no matter if they succeed or fail, that person will die." Long Fei was startled, and then looked towards the slovenly old man in the distance. He didn't know it just now. Now he knew. If the slovenly old man were to grant his wish, he himself would die. Long Fei was startled and looked at the leopard girl. "Don't worry. Since I promised you, I will definitely do it. I have never broken my promise to others, and even more so, will never break my promise to a woman I like." The leopard girl looked at Long Fei and said, "I'm sorry, I can't like you. There's someone in my heart now." Long Fei smiled and said, "I know." "All right. Don't worry. Go to the peak of Blue Mist Mountain and wait for me there." Long Fei said, "I will be there in a day." The leopard girl looked at Long Fei and said, "One day, you have a way. Your cultivation." Long Fei said, "I have a way, don't worry about that. Good boy. Be good and wait for me there." The leopard girl looked at Long Fei, then turned around and walked towards the direction of the peak of the blue mist. She was very moved, but she did not really believe that there was no one who would be willing to use her entire lifetime's worth of cultivation to help others. However, she was still headed towards the peak of the blue mist, because that was the tallest place in the Tsanglan continent, and also the place she thought to be the closest to the universal realm. It was the closest place she could get to her loved one. When the leopard girl walked far away, the slovenly old man walked over and said with a frown, "You wouldn't really let her into the universal realm, right? Your life is more important than anyone else's." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei said, "Don't worry, I have a way." He didn't want the slovenly old man to sacrifice him. Moreover, perfect stage. To Long Fei, there was only a little more than 50 levels, which was just a little more than 50 monsters. Right now, he had enough experience points to break through the great perfection stage of Tsanglan continent. The slovenly old man said frantically, "A solution!" What could he do? The only way to enter the universal realm is to activate the heavenly tribulation. The flying into the virtual has no other way. Long Fei smiled lightly. "Yes, this is my method." The slovenly old man continued, "Only a perfection realm powerhouse can trigger a heavenly tribulation. What method do you have? Find another perfect powerhouse. But we still need their consent. Agree? Who would agree? Anyone, especially a pinnacle powerhouse of a plane, would definitely not agree to such a thing." Long Fei grinned. "It's only at the great, complete realm. It's very fast. One day should be enough. And I happen to be able to do the second thing." The slovenly old man did not know how to react. He asked sluggishly, "What is it?" Long Fei took a step forward and headed out of Tsanglan College. From afar, he heard a voice, "Exterminate the Sky Sect of Ling Clan." Exterminate the Sky Sect of Ling Clan? What kind of place is the Sky Sect of Ling Clan? The slovenly old man didn't react for a moment. When he did, his expression changed greatly. "Boy, don't act recklessly. Don't act recklessly. It's a mess. It's going to be a mess." Immediately, the slovenly old man chased after him with all his might. Sky Sect of Ling Clan. The 10th floor. The pavilion master stood outside the window and looked up to the sky. The sky above the Tsanglan continent had already started to change, and dozens of places in the sky started to distort, forming a vortex. The sky twisted. The spirit energy in the Tsanglan continent became somewhat chaotic. Everyone on the continent raised their heads to stare at the sky. What's that? He was born peculiar. This is an ominous sign. Is something big going to happen? Is it some kind of spiritual treasure being born? The distortion is getting more and more intense. Will the heavens break? Not only was it above the Tsanglan city, it was also above the entire Tsanglan continent. This was true for the eastern border, as well as for the southern domain, northern territory, and western city. The sky began to twist and distort. The spiritual energy in the entire continent was getting more and more chaotic, making it impossible to cultivate. The pavilion master looked at the twisted spirals in the sky and laughed faintly. "It's about to come. It's about to come. Ha ha. I never thought that I would still be able to accomplish such a great deed in my lifetime. Once that fellow is caught, I can be promoted to the next rank and become a descendant of God's tribe." Ha ha ha. I'm glad. He never thought that he would attract so many powerhouses all of the sudden, at the same time. Chapter 27:03, A Group of Dregs. Chapter 27:03. A group of drags the shocking blade Chi slashed down. The 1,000-meter-tall blade Chi slashed down at the sky sect of Ling clan. Crack! The sky split open. The moment the blade Chi touched the sky sect of Ling clan tower, it released a series of explosive sounds. Wallala! 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 Boom! The 10th floor of the sky sect of Ling clan tower had collapsed. Boom! The 9th floor had collapsed. Boom! The 8th level is collapsing. Boom! He was unstoppable. One layer after another burst from the center of the sky sect of Ling clan tower. He was split into two. The entire Tsanglan city was dumbfounded. The sky sect of Ling clan is going to fall. The sky sect of Ling clan has collapsed. It's going to fall. His scalp went numb, and countless people cried out in alarm. They were unable to express the fear in their hearts. What did the sky sect of Ling clan represent? God's tribe. The country could be destroyed. The sects could be destroyed. The academies could be destroyed. But no one dared to touch the sky sect of Ling clan. No one could bear such an outcome. The God's tribe was supreme. Heavens, this was a godlike existence. No one would be stupid enough to oppose the heavens and gods. But now, the sky sect of Ling clan was divided into two, and after swaying for a few seconds, it fell down. Rumble! Rumble! With two loud bangs, the entire Tsanglan city began to shake. This is bad. Off in the distance, the slovenly old man was frowning. He had come late. It was also at this time. Ding! 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 A few notifications sounded out in Long Fei's mind, and his heart relaxed a little. Damn, they only killed a few people. At the same time, his level soared. Mary, there were actually more and more spectators. The elders of the Tsanglan College S, the aristocrats of the Tsanglan City S, and the powerhouse S of various great sects had all rushed over to watch. They saw Long Fei standing there alone. A man said in a deep voice, "Brat, are you crazy? Attacking Sky sect of Ling clan. Are you seeking death?" Long Fei looked at him and sneered. "I don't know if I'm courting death, but you're really courting death." Humph! A mere lame duck dares to do this. Not waiting for him to finish. The supreme dragon knife in Long Fei's hand moved slightly as he swung his blade Chi. That person instantly fell to the ground. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Not a beep. Directly kill. When the blade landed, the eyes of many sunk. A hint of fear appeared on his face. But even more people were sneering, because those who dared to make a move against the Sky sect of Ling clan had yet to live. Boom! An intense explosion resounded from the ruins as the dust was crushed down. An old man stood in mid-air, his eyes burning with anger, and said with a heavy voice, "You dog, you are tired of living. Today this old man will let you know the might of the God's tribe." In that instant, a divine light appeared on the old man's body. It was incomparably dazzling. The surrounding people instantly became excited. It's the pavilion master of the Sky sect of Ling clan. He's a powerhouse of the great, complete realm. Kid, let's see how you can continue being so arrogant. Now you're going to die. Ha ha ha. He's courting death. Many of the people nearby began to loudly laugh at him. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly, looked at the pavilion master who was floating in midair, and coldly said, "There isn't even a light coming from the boss. I thought it was at least a boss. I'm so disappointed. Don't tell me there isn't even a boss in this plane." Long Fei was extremely disdainful. Looking at the divine light on the pavilion master's body, he said indifferently, "Don't waste your expression. No matter what you do, you will die." So, what if he was a paragon? This kind of perfect stage powerhouse, were useless to Long Fei. Even Zhenwu continent of the Zhenwu continent were instantly killed. So this plane was only slightly stronger than the Zhenwu continent. How strong was powerhouse of the great perfection stage? Humph! The pavilion master snorted and said, "The one who died was you." His voice sank. The pavilion master moved both of his palms, and the godly light from his palms came crashing down in an earth-shattering manner. The slovenly old man's eyes tensed up, he moved his body, and immediately stood in front of Long Fei, blocking his attack. Rumble! Rumble! The sloppy-looking old man retreated with explosive speed. The pavilion master's body, which was suspended in midair, trembled slightly. His eyes were vicious as he stared at the slovenly old man and said, "Old demon Songlan, are you sure you want to go against the gods' tribe? Do you know what the consequences are?" The slovenly old man smiled faintly. "Pavilion master, don't scare me like that. I am a person who isn't scared. I don't want to go against the gods' tribe. He is a disciple of my Songlan College. As the principal, I have the duty and responsibility to protect him." And then, he said in a low voice, "Kid, quickly leave." Long Fei did not move. The pavilion master sneered, "Protect disciples? I think you are courting death. You know who he is. You should know what it means to have a warp space in the sky. I don't mind making it clear to you. He is someone that the gods' tribe wants to kill. If you dare protect him again, you will be going against the gods' tribe. Now scram to the side." The sloppy Taoist still had a calm smile on his face. "And if I don't leave, then die." His hands under his robes suddenly moved. This time, the power of the divine light was even more powerful. Chapter 2704, Great Perfection. Chapter 2704, Great Perfection. He was just worrying about not being able to find a target to level up with. The pursuit of 10,000 worlds. An expert of 10,000 realms. Powerhouse. I will kill as many as I can. Moreover, from the Zhenwu continent to the Songlan continent, since experience points could be superimposed, then that meant when he leveled up to perfection in Songlan continent, his experience points would also stack up. Once inside the universal realm, he would immediately go all the way up to the sky. That was great. Thus, Long Fei looked up into the sky, the corners of his mouth slightly hooked up, and he said, "I'm just afraid that you won't come to be able to kill the presbyter of God's tribe." How strong was the power of his black and white fusion? So, what if you're a powerhouse of 10,000 realms? So, what if it was a divine Buddha? Whoever came would die. This person is crazy. This man is crazy. He's definitely crazy. The sky sect of Ling clan was the symbol of the gods' tribe, but not only did Long Fei cut the sky sect of Ling clan into two, he even killed the pavilion master of the sky sect of Ling clan. This was a war with the gods' tribe. If he wasn't crazy, then what was he? The slovenly old man also frowned. He immediately pulled Long Fei and said, "It's too late. You must leave immediately." The twisting spiral grew larger and larger in the sky, and it wouldn't be long before the powerhouse would rush out to kill him. He wouldn't be able to leave even if he wanted to. Long Fei did not move and said, "No rush." The slovenly old man said, "My little ancestor, can you consider me begging? Stop staying. If not, immortal master Lu Yuan's efforts will be in vain." How am I supposed to explain this to him? And the slovenly old man looked at Long Fei and said, "Think about your Zhenwu continent. The longer you stay here, the more danger this Songlan continent will be. Let's go." It was very likely that the Songlan continent would be like the Zhenwu continent. A destruction cannon directly wiped the continent out of the universal realm. God's tribe could do it easily. Long Fei frowned, thinking about what had happened in Zhenwu continent. his fists clenched tightly. He looked up at the sky. Just at this moment, the sky sect of Ling clan guards, who had laid down an inescapable trap in the middle of the sky sect of Ling clan's ruins, crawled up one after another, and they looked at Long Fei with the intent to escape. However, even God's tribe dogs have to die. Long Fei's figure moved. The aura on his body seemed to explode. Boom! One person fell to the ground. Ding! The system sounded out. Boom! Ding! Another person fell to the ground. At this moment, Long Fei was like a god of death, waving the scythe of death one by one, harvesting crazily. At the same time, the system beep S in his mind also sounded crazily. Ding! 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 Over 100 billion experience points quickly decreased as well. Every time a person was killed, the experience points would decrease by a lot because the amount of experience needed to level up would increase as well. The surrounding people all felt their scalps go numb when they saw this. The slovenly old man was also at a loss. If the pavilion master was already dead, what was the point of killing so many people? There was no need at all. At the same time, the slovenly old man felt the aura on Long Fei's body, and his heart trembled further. My aura is constantly getting stronger, and just now I was still level 40. This speed. Who the hell is he? If it wasn't for Immortal Master Lu Yuan, he wouldn't think highly of someone who didn't have talent or blood vein, and he also didn't understand why the Immortal Master Lu Yuan would help him. Nothing special. Now he knew. The strength from Long Fei's body was something that he couldn't reach at his level. Boom, boom. All of you must die. The sound of a blade slashing rang out. At this moment, Long Fei's level seemed to go berserk. The aura from his body, his level, it's constantly improving. What's going on? Level 1 man, level 1. Can he achieve a breakthrough? Just who is he? So what if he is being pursued by the 10,000 worlds? Could it be that those twisted vortexes in the sky are all aimed at him? President, who is he? Seeing Long Fei's cultivation break through crazily, all of them were stunned. How could someone break through like that? Even a monstrous genius wouldn't be able to do such a thing. Not human at all. The slovenly old man looked at Long Fei and shook his head. I don't know either. Boom, boom, boom. Wherever he went, he died. 100 sky sect of Ling clan's guards were instantly slaughtered. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing sky sect of Ling clan guard. Rewards: 100 experience points, 10 points of spirit energy. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level 120. The Great Perfection Stage. 180 billion experience points had also been used up. No more upgrades. Long Fei stopped, clenching his fists tightly. He exhaled a breath of air. He felt the energy in his body and smiled. My cultivation has reached the maximum. One day, the feeling of leveling up is so F***king amazing. It's like I'm playing with my own F***king private property. Even a private servant didn't feel this way. Level 120 in one day. How valiant was this? The slovenly old man felt the chi on Long Fei's body. His eyes shook, and he swallowed hard. Your cultivation, your cultivation. Long Fei said indifferently, perfection. It was also at this time. Long Fei moved his idea, activating flying into the virtual. Ding. System notification. Do you wish to undergo tribulation and ascend? As expected,